He's on Sumner versus Keys. Step forward, please.
College Facilities Coordinator Kathleen Sumner says short-term boyfriend Roosevelt Keys, a nurse, owes her for loans, medical bills, and a false report to Child Protective Services.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Judge, this is case number 187 on the calendar in the matter of Sumner versus Keys. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Ms. Sumner, I gather from your papers, which I have reviewed very carefully, that you and the defendant had a short-term relationship.
That's correct.
And during that relationship, you alleged that he borrowed some money from you.
That's correct.
And after the relationship was over, when you started to ask him for the repayment of this money, this loan, he reported you to Child Protective Services.
That's correct.
And you are also suing him for some pain and suffering, which I'm sure you'll explain to me. Now, first, let's deal with the money aspect of it, these loans. Tell me how this loan took place.
I met Roosevelt in May of '97, and during the course of 6 to 7 months, he had made several money loans from me.
Tell me about the money loans.
The first time he asked for a cash loan of $300.
When?
In June, on June 11th. Within June and July, he borrowed another $200, another $100. He also asked to use my...
So far, we're up to $600 in cash. 3 in June, 2 in July, and then another $100, you say. That was $600.
I have the documentation here.
Well, let me take a look at it.
This was a canceled check dated July 8th for $200. These, I think I gave them to in the other envelope. They were two separate cash draws of $300 from my credit card account. Roosevelt had several checks that were bouncing, and he asked for the money in cash.
Does any of this sound familiar to you, sir?
Somewhat familiar.
Well, let me hear somewhat.
Okay. The first loan on June 11th, I asked her for the money. She gave it to me.
$300?
$300, yes, she did. She did give it to me, Your Honor.
Okay. June 11th,
yes.
$300.
Yes.
And I have one here for July 8th, $200.
That was correct.
You agree with that?
Yes,
so far we have $500.
Yes,
What's next?
One time, Kathy gave me a cash loan of $100.
That's $100.
And that's all I remember for right now.
$600. Did
Yes,
you pay her back?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you pay her back?
Oh, when I came back from annual training, Your Honor.
Absolutely
Did you give
not.
a check or
I
cash?
gave it back to her in cash, Your Honor.
Absolutely not.
I
never.
Just a second.
Your Honor, we had fallen in love. We had vowed about our relationship. We were doing things as family. She had my ATM card. I would give her my ATM card. We would pass cash back and forth. I had no idea of asking her for a receipt or anything. I didn't.
Well, show me your bank statement, sir. Your ATM statement. I assume that if
I
she
don't
gave...
have that with me, ma'am.
He never returned the money.
Just a second. Do you have any proof whatsoever that you repaid her, sir, this $600?
Not on me, Your Honor, no. I didn't bring it with me.
Okay. You want $3,000 for pain and suffering. What pain and suffering?
Roosevelt had been staying with me almost immediately after we had met, which was June of last year. Through the course of the relationship at about December, I had asked him to leave the house and had tried my best to tell him that I was no longer interested in continuing the relationship with him. He made a lot of very volatile phone calls to my home. He left several notes and messages on my mailbox, including ones of this nature and many other ones. He threatened that if I were to, I made a call to him in May, at the beginning of April.
Just a minute. I assume you wrote this, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
It says, like I say, Kathy, if we go in front of one judge, I guarantee you will go in front of another. I have nothing to hide. You'll be the one explaining why you painted your house last summer.
Yes, ma'am.
I assume there were threatened lawsuits at this time. Say if you
No,
go in
ma'am.
front of one judge. What does that mean?
No, not at all. She was saying that I owed her money, and I was saying, no, I don't owe you any money. And you know that we were passing money back and forth between our whole relationship, Your
So this
Honor.
was all about the money.
No, actually,
This was about the money. If we go in front of one judge, we'll go in front of another. So clearly, according to you, according to what you're saying to me, this one sentence is about the money that she alleges you owe her and demands that she was making for the money.
her demand.
Yes.
Yes, her demand. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. And you said you have nothing to hide.
Nothing to hide, ma'am.
And you'll explain to the judge, I assume that that's what this means, why you painted your house last summer. Why did she paint her house?
I didn't feel comfortable when she was telling me about what happened, and because she didn't feel comfortable about it. And
Like what?
Well,
It's totally irrelevant to the money that he owes me
Just a
and
minute.
him paying the debt.
Just a second. Ms. Sumner, you raise it in your complaint. You say in your complaint that part of his harassment that you're suing for
The
pain and
harassment.
suffering is that that he reported you to Child Protective Services. You raised that
You're right.
in your complaint, so it is relevant. So what you told him is relevant because I assume there did come a time when you reported the plaintiff to Child Protective Services. Is that correct?
no, I didn't report it to Child Protective
Who'd you
Services.
report it
I
to?
reported to the San Mateo Police Department.
Okay. And that was after you left?
And after I left,
Was it after you left the home that you made this report to Protective Services?
that particular day, ma'am.
Mr. Keys, am I speaking a language that you don't understand, or are you trying to figure out how to answer my
No,
question?
ma'am. No, ma'am.
All right.
No, ma'am.
So let's get it together. It
Yes,
was
ma'am.
sometime after you left the home that you made this report to the police department.
ma'am.
And you made the report to the police department because you believed that the children were at risk.
One of the children.
One of the children.
Yes.
Do you want to tell me why?
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I brought it to Kathy's attention on several occasions. I said, Kathy,
Never brought it to my attention. Never.
Are you on any sort of medication?
No, I'm not.
You know, one way or another, this is going to get very, very nasty.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathleen Sumner claims former boyfriend, Roosevelt Keys, owes her for loans, medical bills during pregnancy, and falsely reporting her to Child Protective Services. He says the phone call was needed.
How old is this child?
she was 9 at the time and she's 10 now, Your Honor. Throughout the course of our relationship and watching her children, watching the oldest, Your Honor, who by one is afraid to go to the bathroom by herself, she's afraid to take a shower by herself, she's afraid to go in her bedroom without an adult that's standing out in front of the dining room by herself. When we go into the car, Your Honor, she wants to sit in the middle of her 2 youngest girls. I found it very strange for that to be happening with a 9 or 10-year-old child. I brought it to Kathy's attention on several occasions. I said, Kathy,
Never brought it to my attention. Never.
Do you so far remember this conversation that you've had with him?
Absolutely not. This is how it began. I called him in April and said, you have until May 1st to make a substantial debt payment to your debt. And if you don't, I'm going to go to small claims court and I'm going to collect it in small claims court. After I made that phone call to him, an onslaught of phone calls and threatening letters. If you do take me to court, I'll jeopardize the custody of your children. I'll be telling authorities what I know. Don't push me. I will. We go in front of one judge. We'll go in front of another. Basically, what he did was he picked what he could up and resurrected it to go to the police department with to make this claim because I was suing him. He never once discussed concerns about my children. It was never, ever an issue.
There are certain telling things in these letters.
yes, ma'am.
First, it is clear, sir, that you acknowledge that you owe her money.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's also troublesome to me that in one of the letters, you say, it's only money I owe you, but I guarantee you will have to prove yourself a worthy parent.
Yes, ma'am.
That's not good. There is some connection here in this letter between her pursuing her claim of money and your reporting what you allegedly know to Child Protective Services, because that's what it suggests. It's only money I owe you, but I guarantee you will have to prove yourself a worthy parent.
Yes, ma'am.
My question, Mr. Keys, is as follows. If you separated in January and you reported to the police in May,
Yes, ma'am.
what happened between January and May that inspired you to make the report in May?
Because I had spoke to her on several occasions about it, Your Honor. We had spoke about this. I asked her, I said, Kathy,
Never.
the child...
Just when? Before you left or after?
Before and after.
Joe, tell me about the after.
February 13th, we went out.
You went out for a date.
We went out for a date, yes, ma'am.
And at that date, you want to tell me what you say you
No,
said
it wasn't.
to her?
I mean, I'm just saying that we were together. I mean, I've
I want
talked
you to
her.
tell me, sir,
And
about conversations you had after January about this child.
There was no conversation.
yes, there was.
I'm not
There was
speaking
no.
to you. Do you
Ma'am.
understand me? Are you on any sort of medication?
No, I'm not.
Ma'am, we spoke after February, after January,
Tell
before.
me, just a second.
Ma'am, I had mentioned, okay, I would tell you.
See, you think
I
he's
would
doing a
tell you,
dance
ma'am,
around
and
me?
I'm not on
Bert,
medication.
you think he's doing a dance around me?
I get that impression. I get that impression.
No,
Judge.
ma'am, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you can man me all you like. You're very respectful, but I know the difference between rain and piddle.
Yes, ma'am.
I know the difference.
Yes, I know you do.
Okay. So what I'm asking you, sir, is after January, you tell me when you discussed with the plaintiff your concern about her daughter.
After January, I spoke to her and asked her what would she like to do with Carmel. That's the daughter. I asked her, you know that you're aware, and I'm aware that there's something wrong with your child. And she was aware. Sometimes she would not respond because it was such a sensitive subject, Your Honor. And I said, Kathy, I have to report this.
Mr. Keys,
Yes, ma'am.
what I am telling you, sir, is I do not doubt that you may have had certain questions with regard to the welfare of this child. My question with regard to you, sir, is your motivation for reporting it when you did.
I see.
That's a question that
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have. And it's a question that I have that seems to be borne out in your own handwriting.
Yes, ma'am.
We understand each other now, Mr. Keys?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okie dokie. Now, when he reported this matter to the police, the Child Protective Authorities called in, madam.
The police department called me first and said that a report was made to their office, a child molestation against my oldest daughter, Carmel, and they had gone to her school, they had pulled her out of class, and they had interviewed her.
Yes.
They, as a course of protocol, had to report it to Child Protective Services as well, and the case was closed at intake. After interviewing me, interviewing Carmel separately, and reviewing all information they had, and I have the documentation, the investigative narrative from the social worker who says that it was closed upon intake and the information was unfounded. My daughter is a healthy...
Just a second.
Ma'am,
What?
I also have that is the police officer who I reported this to, and she said the restraining order was a result from her and her sister having on it because her sister lives right behind her house, Your Honor, and he went to her sister in his underwear, fondled himself in front of her sister and said that, you know that you want me. Sister, in turn, called the police on him, got the restraining order out on him, Your Honor.
Is that her sister?
That's her sister who lives
Does your sister have a restraining order against him?
No, she doesn't.
You want me
But
to call
you
this
can-
this detective? Find
You
out?
absolutely can.
Great. See if I can get a detective in. You know, one way or another, this is going to get very, very nasty.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Now, he also says to me that your sister had a protective order with regard to some unseemly sexual acts that he committed in front of her. And if you did not pursue that, there's something wrong with your head.
Closed captioning sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Kathleen Sumner wants short-term boyfriend Roosevelt Keys to pay back his loans, pay her medical bills, and compensate her for giving Child Protective Services a false report. He says the call was needed.
I have to be perfectly satisfied that there is absolutely no validity to what he did. Now, he may have been misguided in his motive for calling protective services on you, but if there is a scintilla of truth as to what he's saying to me, then you're not going to get a nickel with regard to your pain and suffering. Do you understand?
I understand that.
Now, so that's why I'm trying to get a hold of these people. He seems to have information, and it would seem to me that if you did not pursue that, there's something wrong with your head. Right? Now, he also says to me that your sister had a protective order against your or former with regard to some unseemly sexual acts that he committed in front of her. You seem to say that that's absolutely false.
That's not what I said. I did not say it was absolutely false. I said my pain and suffering is a result of he took stuff that happened over a year, 2 years ago, and resurrected it for the sole purpose of trying to deter me from filing a claim in small claims
I don't
court.
doubt that he was not motivated by his desire to see to it solely that the children were safeguarded. But if there is truth to what he says, if this detective tells me that your sister had a restraining order against your, I'm going to have a problem with you.
There
Now,
was no restraining order, and you're welcome to go ahead and call
Good.
the police.
See,
what's her sister's name?
You want her telephone number?
No. Oh, maybe.
She's the one who told me, Your Honor.
548. And it's a 650 area code.
Can't things just be simple? Is Victoria Jacobs there, please? This is Judge Judy Shanlin. Can I speak with you for a moment, please? I have your sister before me in a case that she's currently trying before me, and an issue arose with regard to an allegation with her or some action that you had against him where you obtained a protective order. Does that sound familiar to you? Okay, when was that incident? About a year ago this time? Can you describe the incident to me? Did you, in fact, get a protective order restraining him and to have no... It was in effect? And when this incident happened with your sisters, did you tell your sister about it? Immediately? Okay. But you haven't had any difficulty with him since then? He has stayed away. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate the call. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
sir.
Well, Miss Sumner, it certainly appears as if your sister confirms everything that Mr. Keyes tells me about this incident involving herself and your... And she said that she, as a matter of fact, called you before she called the police. Does that refresh your recollection?
That's correct. I'm not saying that there wasn't an incident.
Your sister furthermore says that this incident occurred while you had a restraining order against you. Stay away from both you and the children.
The restraining order was never in effect because I was never able to get him served.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Look, I'm not going to spend any more time with this case. You owe her $600. Pay it! I'm not making any award for pain and suffering, madam. I'm not so sure that you shouldn't be following up with some of this stuff yourself. I'm certainly going to find out whether Child Protective Services had all the facts before they marked this case unfounded. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
He took little bits of information, put it together to make something sound terrible, and he did it just out of cruelty.
No matter what the judge says or whatever, I saw that child for 7 months and saw that she was not acting normal as a 9 or 10-year-old child.
Party's on. Cardenas versus Cardenas. Step forward, please.
43-year-old physical therapist Joel Cardenas is suing his ex-wife, 35-year-old homemaker Lauren Cardenas, for money from selling his motorcycle. Lauren says the money was used for child support.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 164 on the calendar in the matter of Cardenas versus Cardenas. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
You folks are currently divorced.
Yes, ma'am.
And you, sir, are under a $1,200 a month support obligation
Yes, ma'am.
for your former wife and your 2 children.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, in addition to your wife and your 2 children, you also used to have a motorcycle.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were called back to the Philippines where your family is.
Right, because my dad was debilitated.
And you left your motorcycle with your former wife to sell.
Yes, ma'am. In an agreement that because of the time of my absence, at least when she sells the motorcycle, there'll be the month that will be paid for the child support because of my stay in the Philippines.
Okay, so you left her your motorcycle and you said sell it.
Right.
And use some of the money to pay my month's support obligation.
Correct.
And how long were you in the Philippines?
Approximately a month.
And when you came back, you had in fact sold the motorcycle.
Yes, ma'am, I did. Yes,
I
ma'am.
assume you have a bill of sale for me?
I have a receipt from the company telling how much I got for it and what it was.
Fine. And how much did you get for the motorcycle?
$3,400 for the condition it was in.
Okay. And you left, according to these papers, in April.
Correct.
Were you fully paid up in April?
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am, he was not.
According to your wife, your former wife, you were not fully paid up in April. You still owed her something, like $300, is that right?
Yes.
In which I paid cash before I left.
Did you always pay it by check?
No, not always,
No, his
because we
checks
had
bounced.
So he would pay you in cash?
Whenever I could get it in cash, that's what I preferred.
Mr. Cardenas, how long you divorced?
A year.
Approximately a year.
In the future, you should give your wife a money order, not cash.
I know.
Do you understand?
Well, the only...
Take a deep breath. Try to listen to me. Try to listen to me.
Okay.
If you give her a money order, then you will have a receipt.
I understand that from now on,
Good.
Judge.
She says your checks bounce. She doesn't want a check.
That's correct.
I can understand that, but there is a happy medium. You give her money orders.
She always have the money, and I always tell, like I told her,
Not always. Just pay attention.
I am.
Good. So from now on, you're going to give her your support payments in a money order.
Money order or check, correct?
No. You say check. I said money order.
Money order, all right.
Money order is where you go to the bank and get a money. Are you chewing gum?
Yes, ma'am.
No. Okay. Let's not talk about April. April is $300. You came back in May.
Yes.
Did you pay your May support payment?
I did not, because he sold the motorcycle.
So you didn't pay May?
I didn't.
So let us take off $1,200 for May.
Less $100 because he owes me, she owes me $2,000, which I loaned to her.
Are you supposed to pay him $100 a month?
Yes, I had originally was going to pay his life insurance policy, the
Right
child
now,
support.
you're supposed to pay him $100 a month?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So $3,400 you got for the motorcycle.
Yes, ma'am.
Less $1,200 for your May support payment is $2,200 plus $100, right? Because you're supposed to get from her $100.
Right.
Right? So that means that you should have gotten $2,300. Is that right? Now, did you pay June?
No, he didn't.
You didn't pay June.
Correct.
So less $1,200.
May I appeal also?
Just a second. Less $1,200 brings it down to $1,100. And you still are supposed to give him the $100.
Yes, ma'am.
So we got to add on another $100 there. Now up to $1,200. Now we're now in July. Did you pay July?
No, the reason being,
Did you pay July?
No, because he said you paid up till July.
Just a second. So you didn't pay July?
No, because she
12
stated that I'm paid up till July from the sale of the motorcycle.
Just a second. So you said, I'm paid up till July, so you didn't pay her in July.
Correct.
So $1,200 less $1,200 leaves zero.
Plus $100.
Plus $100. So what are you here for? What are you here for?
Well, the motorcycle is in a mint condition. I have my witness here that he could testify that the only thing wrong was it's got a flat tire. And all the things that he's saying about the deductions, it's not true because...
Shh, just a second. So what you're saying is she should have gotten more for the motorcycle.
Correct.
But you didn't tell her what to get for the motorcycle. You left her the motorcycle to sell.
Yes, and I asked for the receipt, which he didn't give me.
Oh, well, let's give him the receipt. Is this it? Now he's got a receipt. Now you got a receipt.
Why did she wait till I get down
Just a
here?
second. Now you got the receipt. And you didn't tell her, don't sell the motorcycle unless you get $4,000 for it. You said, here's the motorcycle, sell it. She sold it. She may have taken the
No,
easiest
I told her
way.
she was going to get $4,200 for the motorcycle.
You told her she was going to get it. What do you have, a crystal ball?
No, it's a
Did
blue
you
book
say to
value.
her? Did you say to her, don't sell the motorcycle unless you get $4,200? Did you say that? Yes
I
or
told
no?
her at least
Did
$4,200.
No, no, no. Don't make it up as we go along.
No, I'm not making it up.
Yes, don't make it up. Did you say to her, do not sell the motorcycle unless you get this amount for it?
No, I did not.
Perfect. So she took the motorcycle and she sold it. She probably sold it the easiest way she could. She didn't put an ad in the paper. She didn't drive around the motorcycle with a helmet on, around the street with a for sale sign. She took it to a dealer and said, give me the money. Is that what you did?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. That's what I would have done. She got $3,400 for it, which means that you paid up for 3 months. And you didn't pay her anything. May, June, and July. Now, sir, I could understand you standing here if you said, well, when I came back, I gave her $1,200 in May, I gave her $1,200 in June, I gave her $1,200 in July. She owes me the money for the motorcycle. But I don't understand why you're here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's outrageous.
The truth has to come out.
You picked them. Mrs. Cardenas.
Are we all entitled to
no,
one
no.
mistake?
You made a big one.
And later today,
I took care of my mother for 7 long years while she was sick. I did everything. I took care of this child. No, she did not take care of me. She kicked me out.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Joelle Cardenas wants the balance of the money from the motorcycle his ex-wife, Lauren Cardenas, sold. Lauren says she used it because he was behind in child support.
Why are you here? I'm very confused.
The reason why I'm here is to be able to get, if there's any amount of balance, which I didn't even know because she didn't tell me.
I see.
Your Honor,
All
he didn't
right,
know.
so-
I told him from the beginning how much I got for it. I did not have a receipt at that time. I had to go get it for court. I knew I'd have to have one for court. But from the beginning, he called me a liar. He told my children I was lying to him. You know, and he has told them horrendous things, and it all goes around money. Everything around him revolves around money.
That's too bad.
And it is, because he wants the children. He wants to take them away from me. He wants to take them to the Philippines. 14 years ago, I almost aborted my first one. I never told her. A few weeks ago, he decided she needed to know this. This is what I'm
Cardenas,
dealing
Miss-
with in him.
Mr. Cardenas, did you do that? Did you tell that to your daughter? Did you tell that to your daughter, sir?
Yes, I did.
That's outrageous. Do you think, Mr. Cardenas, that that was designed to make your child feel better about herself?
No,
Did you think that that was designed to make her feel
no,
better?
I feel that the truth has to come out.
Listen, Mrs. Cardenas,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have enough years to get through to him, if that's his answer to me. Unfortunately,
That's his answer.
Unfortunately, what did you do? You picked him. Mrs. Cardenas.
Are we all entitled to
no,
one
no.
mistake?
You made a big one.
Yes, I did.
The only thing that you can try to do is, if this is the response from a man who has 2 children, who he's supposed to love and nurture, to make sure that they grow up feeling really good about themselves, wanted and loved, and secure to tell a child her mother wanted to abort her so that she would be in a jar instead of sitting in a chair, that is the most despicable thing that I tell you that I've heard in a very long time. So, Mr. Cardenas, you take your attitude about child rearing and your lawsuit and get out of here. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Back up to your right, please.
Why didn't she told me the very beginning, then I wouldn't have gone to this whole thing.
As far as my children go, I wish that I could actually even told her in more detail what he done, because I need somebody of authority to tell him how he's destroying them. He doesn't see it.
And now the next case.
Parties on Wyrick versus Stanky. Step forward, please.
20-year-old Monica Wyrick is suing her sister, 23-year-old Jennifer Stanky, over a check from their grandfather's estate.
You two young ladies are sisters.
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
And this lawsuit isn't about a lot of money.
No.
According to you, your grandfather left some money. $500. $506. Your sister got the check. You think that half of it belongs to you. Well, what I'm interested in more than this little bit of money that we're talking about is why you would bring your sister to court for that kind of money.
Well, Your Honor, when my mother died in 1994, she kept everything in the house, everything. She kicked me out. I was 16 years old. I didn't have anything. We don't have any family at all, you know.
So it's just the two of you?
Yes.
Even more of a reason not to squabble over a little bit of money. Your position is that this money should go for something else.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me hear.
Okay, when I found out about the estate of my grandfather and found out about the money, I contacted my sister about it. They didn't even know that she existed. They only thought that I was the only child. I brought her in. I said, Monica, we're getting some money from my grandfather. She agreed on one thing.
Was this your maternal grandfather, your mother's father?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
And I told her, whatever we got, if it was $2, $10,000, $500, the first thing we were supposed to do is buy my mother a headstone.
You mean your mother is buried without a headstone?
Yes, ma'am. I was 19 at the time. I had a 6-month-old daughter. My sister was 15. She was turning 16 in March. My mother died in August. I took care of everything. I took care of my mother for 7 long years while she was sick.
How old was she when she died?
47. I did everything.
She had cancer?
Yes, ma'am. I did everything. I took care of this child.
How old was she when your mother died?
15.
No, she did not take care of me.
I
She
went-
kicked me out.
I went to the courts because I lost the house that my mother was buying because I was only 19 at the time. They didn't think I was more mature enough. My cousin came to me and said, let me take her. You have a 6-month-old. Your mother just passed away. You know, let me help you, okay? She went, she was there 2 weeks in Ocala because her boyfriend couldn't spend the night with her. She ran away. I brought her back into my custody. Of Christmas, we got into it.
You got into a fight?
Yes, ma'am. I hit her. I went to jail for hitting her. Because
How long were you incarcerated?
I was 24 hours. I couldn't do it anymore. A year later, she called me. She had no food, no lights, no nothing. And since of '96, I've been taking care of her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why is she waiting now after 4 years to get my mother a headstone?
I think her name should be on it, beloved mother, and the year.
It's her way or no way.
Closed captioning sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Monica Wyrick wants her sister, Jennifer Stanky, to give her half the money she received from their grandfather's estate. Jennifer says the money is for their mother's headstone.
Listen to me. She wants to use this money to buy your mother a headstone. Stop a sec. Don't you think your mother should have a headstone?
Oh, yes, I do. But why is she waiting now after 4 years to get my mother a headstone?
Where, just a second, did you have money to contribute to your mother's headstone?
No, I actually did. I could have used my income tax money like she could have used hers, which she had gotten around $1,000. But instead, she went and spent it on her boyfriend.
Shh. Listen to me. Listen to me. Right now, you're dealing with some unexpected money. You're dealing with $500. Not enough to buy a really fancy headstone.
Right.
But for something. You only had one mother. Did you care about your mother?
Oh, I loved my mother. Of course I did.
So?
But the reason I didn't let her keep the $253 because I knew she wasn't going to use it towards the headstone. She has said that 4 years in a row, and she never once tried to even get my mother a
Let me ask
headstone.
you this question. If I could assure you that this money would be used to buy your mother a headstone, would you be prepared to use it for that purpose?
The problem is, okay, fine, I agree to, spending the money on my mother's headstone because I love my mother to death. I always have, always will. But we won't agree on, exactly what, we want on my mother's headstone.
Okay, listen.
It's her way or no way.
Just a second. We're going to resolve everything today. First, we're going to use that money, and you can go together to make sure that the money is used for that purpose to satisfy you if you want to. And I will have an order prepared for that purpose. But let's not leave today without deciding what's to be written on the headstone. How's that? I mean, I've never done that before.
Hey, good idea.
I mean, I've never done that before for strangers.
Good idea.
I've done it, unfortunately, for myself,
The only
but not
thing
for
I
strangers.
said was, it charges more for writing. I think her name should be on it, beloved mother, and the year. She doesn't need a long speech.
Yes, she does. She deserves it.
Okay. Now, the question is, everything that you write, listen.
Costs more.
Shh. Everything, every letter that you write in the stone costs money. Can we agree that if your mother's name, beloved mother, the date of her birth and the date that she died, is what you can get for $525, which is a very small amount of money, then that's what it'll be. If he's prepared to write more on the stone for the same money, she would like something else on the stone. Are you prepared to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me what else you're shaking your head like this.
You just don't know her. She's
No, me.
What I'm
You
telling you is
me,
this is
you
going...
killed my animals.
Hey,
what more do
hey,
you
hey. This is going to be reduced to an order. So I'm trying to get the order down so that we have the entire order so that there are no mistakes. Do you understand?
Oh, I understand.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
What else do you want on the stone?
Maybe not so much the writing, maybe just the color of the headstone. Because they have a pink marble headstone that I have looked at, because when my mother was buried, she did everything wrong.
You would prefer a pink marble?
Yes, I would.
Okay. If you can get the pink marble for the same price, I somehow doubt it, but if you can get the pink marble for the same price, your sister's prepared to agree to that, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. What else? Good. So the order that the court will have drafted is as follows, that the $506 will be used to purchase a headstone for your mother. And the writing is not a problem because the writing is exactly as you've indicated and you've agreed to. Her name, beloved mother, the year of her birth, and the year of her death. It will be a pink marble stone as per your request if that can be honored at the same $525 price. Agreed? Agreed?
Yeah.
Great. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Parties on Castillo versus Hopkins. Step forward, please.
28-year-old Marnie Castillo is suing her aunt, 43-year-old Vicki Hopkins. Marnie claims that Vicki agreed to adopt her daughter 9 years ago, but the adoption never actually took place. Now the state is coming after Marnie for back child support, and she wants her aunt to pay.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 217 on the calendar in the matter of Castillo versus Hopkins. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
Reading these papers suggests to me that this was a terrible tragedy in your family, but most especially for an innocent child who was now 10?
9.
9. Ms. Castillo, you present to me a very unique cause of action, one that I have not seen before in my 25 years. You are suing the defendant for what appears to be a failed adoption of your child.
Yes.
You were a teenager, you had a child out of wedlock.
That's true.
And the defendant is your aunt.
That's true.
Briefly, she and her husband agreed to take custody of this child. She says because the child wasn't being cared for properly as an infant. Is that right?
That's right. That's not true.
Well, she'll tell me about that. There came a point when you said that you would adopt, or to at least take custody of this child and perhaps adopt
That's
her
right.
when she was an infant.
Right.
How old?
She was 14 months old.
And for that first 14 months, she had lived with her mother.
Off and on, she lived with Marnie. She visited with me from the time she was 2 weeks old, off and on.
Okay.
Visited you, not lived with you.
Ms. Castillo, I would suggest that you not be hostile.
I'm sorry.
In any event, the child's now 9 years old. And what this is all about is, for one reason or another, which I find very interesting in here, this adoption did not take place.
It didn't.
You did not adopt this child with your husband. And the child at some point was being supported by the taxpayers.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's right.
And the state has come against you
Yes, that's true.
for back child support.
Yes.
So you are suing your aunt because she didn't adopt your daughter, and therefore you're stuck paying the child support. That's what this case is about.
That's basically, yes, what it's about.
Your Honor, can I say something? We were going to adopt this little girl because the father was named unknown in the whole beginning of everything.
I have all the paperwork here.
Ms. Castillo,
I'm sorry, ma'am.
don't interrupt.
Okay.
Up until these final papers were sent to us, everything was going according to plan.
How old was the child at that
She
point?
was 14 months old. We got a letter and some papers sent to us from Don Smith, which was handling the adoption, showing that Fillmore Hostler was Marley's father that Marnie had named. He was Native American. We were told in the beginning it was a good thing this little girl's father wasn't Native American. It would have to be okayed by the tribe.
Okay, let me go back so that we all, put your hand down, so that we all understand each other. Can I see those papers, please? When a child is the child, at least in a certain amount of blood lineage of an American Indian, under the U.S. Code, all the states have agreed that whatever dealings involve that child by way of custody or adoption, the tribe, the native tribe, has first crack at trying those cases or at dealing with the adoption because they feel as if the tribe wants to hold on to whatever children that they have rather than allow the state to be involved. So that is the law. You are quite correct. Now, did you name someone at any point, Ms. Castillo, as the father of this child?
Not at the birth, but during the rundown on the adoption with Don Smith, yes, I did name the real father.
Okay.
And I
now, the
also-
real father that you named was a person who was an American Indian.
He was half, and I also have papers stating that it says Caucasian with his name on it, with their name, with their signatures on it.
If he is half American Indian, then the tribe has the right to deal with the adoption. If you had wanted them to adopt this child with ease and let it go through, why at the time that they filed the papers did you name, when you first said, I don't know who the father is, why did you then name somebody who was an American Indian as the father?
He was her father, and at the time, was telling the honest truth. I wanted the best
Then you
for my little
weren't,
girl.
just a second.
I did want the best
Miss
for her.
Castillo, then if he was the father, that means that you lied at the beginning when you said you didn't know who
I
the
never
father
had
was.
told that I didn't know who the father was. I just didn't sign the birth certificate with any father's name on it. I never told them that I didn't know who the father was. Personally, I didn't tell anybody who the father was. It was no one's business. I didn't know what I was doing as an 18-year-old giving birth to a little girl. I didn't know that. That's right.
Then somebody else was named as the father.
She named that person on the papers. It asked in the DA's papers who you have slept with in the last 5 months. The person she's pushing for the child support was named because I was dating him in June.
Just a second. Just a second. She can't name somebody else as the father.
She named them because he was on the DA's papers stating that I slept with him in June. So since she considered that as a person to go for the back child support, she pushed it.
Just a minute. She's not suing you for back child support, Ms.
No,
Castillo.
but
Hey! She's not suing you for child support. The state is suing you for the money that the taxpayers paid out for your daughter.
I understand that, but she also told my mother on a phone conversation, why should Marnie have to pay for it and let the father pay for it? And Evan Duke looks like her father, and she looks like Linda Evans, the mother.
Why don't you take a blood test?
We have taken a blood test. It hasn't came back yet.
Oh, baloney.
It has not. The blood tests were just barely taken 3 weeks ago.
At age 9?
At age 9 years old. This only has been coming about just this year.
If the person that you say she named as the father...
He's not.
Is not...
Excuse me, ma'am. He's not the father, though.
Then the blood test will establish that.
That is very true.
Then you will totally be responsible for the child support.
Totally be responsible for a breach of contract agreement?
There is no... Madam, let me explain something to you. A child is not a piece of meat.
I didn't think it was a piece
No,
of
a
meat.
child is not a piece of meat.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know what? I went through a lot of trauma and turmoil over this whole thing.
Hey, you caused a lot of trauma.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. In this unusual custody case, Vicki Hopkins is being sued by her niece, Marnie Castillo, after caring for her daughter for many years. Marnie says she thought her aunt adopted her daughter 9 years ago and was shocked to find out that the adoption never went through. Now the state wants Marnie to pay back child support, but Marnie feels her aunt should pay.
I understand that this child at some point went back to you.
Yes.
Is that just... Yes. When did the child come back to you?
When my aunt had had surgery and she got on all kinds of medication, my uncle thought it was a better idea for her to come back to the mother. Since I had been previously on drugs and on alcohol, I do admit to that, yes. But it took me a long journey to get where I am today. And the child was in the best interest with them. But they always led me to believe she was adopted to them, and I was never an absent parent. That's why I'm angry about the child support. I never had proper visitations. I had no clue she wasn't adopted until 1994 on Easter, when my aunt and I got into a fight during Easter. She left me at our family function. I had to find my own ride home that time. We got back. The DA had sent me papers saying I owed this back child support. But the fact of what I'm here to argue is they never let me have anything to do with her. And if I was an absent parent, I should have had paternal rights. I should have been notified that they had never adopted her. And nothing. I was never adopted.
Are you saying to me, Miss Castillo, that your aunt and uncle prevented you from seeing this little...
Yes, they did, ma'am. They did.
You're not letting me finish.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Don't cut me off.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Are you saying that your aunt and uncle didn't let you see your daughter?
Yes, I'm telling you that.
Is that true?
No, that's not
That
true.
is true, and you know it.
In the
too.
very
And
beginning,
you moved away
when
from
Marley
her.
first
You moved
came
away.
to us...
You're
I could never
irritating
see her.
me. If you irritate me again,
sorry.
I'm going to
I
dismiss your
understand.
case.
Okay.
Good.
In the beginning, when Marley first came to stay with us, for her to bond with my husband, my daughter, and myself, she was going through an emotional time, up in the night crying, couldn't figure out where her mother was at. I asked Marnie not to come to visit for at least the first 6 months
3 years.
so she could bond with us.
3 years.
I told you.
I'm
I
sorry,
told you
ma'am.
one more time, and you're out of here. You got it?
Yeah.
One more time. Be careful, because I mean it. Go ahead.
This happened. After the first 6 months, Marnie was allowed to visit with Marley.
What was it?
I never heard from Marnie very much. Marnie would call, and I would talk to her, and I would tell her how Marley was doing. I told her the adoption had stopped because she had named Fillmore as the father, and I said, I can't have this little girl ripped out of my arms into a strange people's place when this little girl is emotional already. And Marnie was told that on the phone a number of times. Even Marnie's mother, which is my sister, was told this. My sister was very upset with Marnie for doing that. And she made the comment, if this little girl...
Don't tell me what, what your
Anyway,
sister
the
said.
whole thing boiled down to, after the first 6 months, Marley bonded with us, and everything became much better in the household. Marnie was allowed to see her whenever she wanted.
How
Marnie,
often did she, in fact, come?
Marnie very seldom contacted or called us. Unless Marnie was fighting with one of her boyfriends, then she would call us on the phone and talked to me to come and help her get her out of a situation with one of the boyfriends. Of course, I lived away from her, couldn't do anything about it. So, other than the phone calls, there was nothing I could do. Marnie was always welcome to come see that child.
Ms. Hopkins, at what point did you return the child to her mother?
I returned Marley in May of 1996.
Why?
My husband and I had discussed it. My sister told Marley who her real mother was on a visit one weekend. And when she brought her back, she says to me, "Oh, by the way, I told Marley who her real mother is." I was just devastated. We were waiting to tell her when the time was right.
So she had been with you for 8 years
For
at that
8
point.
years, and we were waiting to tell her who her real mother was. But my sister brought it upon herself to do it. After that, things started
What's wrong
to
with your
change.
sister?
I love her, but people do their own thing. And so
what happened?
after that, Marley wanted to be around Marnie because she felt this bond with her. She asked me, "Mom, why did Marnie keep Tristano and give me away?" I said,
You mean she has another child?
"Yes."
How old is the other child?
2, I guess.
2?
2.5.
And I said, "Honey, you'll have to ask Marnie that because I can't answer your question."
When she had come to see or had seen the little girl, how was she introduced to her during these 8 years?
She called Marnie Rui and Rue all the time. And that's what she addressed her as.
Okay.
Until my sister told her who her real mother was. And I told Marley, I said, "If you want to call her Mom, that's up to you, Marley."
What had she called you?
She calls me Mom, she calls my husband Dad, and she calls my oldest daughter Sister.
Okay. So what happened to propel the child from your home to their home?
So after that, with Marley being curious and wanting to be around her little brother and be around her real mother, I talked to my husband one evening and I said, "What would you do if Marnie asked for Marley to come back to her?" He said, "Well, would that be so bad?" He said, "Would giving Marnie a second chance at being a mother be really bad?" He said, "She is doing good now," and he said, "Not a lot of people get a second chance." So the both of us decided that would be okay. And we talked to Marnie, and that's how she ended up going back. I called 2 or 3 times a day, upset and checking on the little girl. I did go through a nervous breakdown the whole year of letting her go, wondering if it was the right thing. I do now know that it wasn't the right thing. And Marnie had her 2 months, sent her to her mother, which is my sister. I called and I said, "Can I talk to Marley? She's outside playing." I called 3 or 4 times, the same answer. Finally, Marnie said, "Well, she's at my mom's." I thought she was there on a visit. Come to find out, Marnie had sent her there permanently. The little girl is still now with my sister. In the beginning, my sister and I had problems, and I said, "The little girl should have been sent back to us, not to you. Why did you guys do this to us?" And I literally had a breakdown over it. My husband called Marnie and said, "Why didn't you guys send this little girl home?"
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What about the fact that your daughter is my dad's real daughter, Vicky, huh? What about that fact? You're my aunt and my cousin is my sister. What about that one?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. In this bizarre child custody case, Marnie Castillo feels her aunt, Vicki Hopkins, should be responsible for paying back child support for Marnie's daughter.
Why did
there
you send
now.
her to your mother's house?
My aunt knew we lived in a very small...
Why did you send her to your
I
mother's
lived
house?
in a studio apartment, my husband, I, and my son. My aunt told me if I didn't take her in May that it wouldn't be a good thing for her to go back. So
You mean because of school?
But there was no room in this house for her. She had her own things, her own bedroom, and we had no room at the time.
Just a second.
We
Miss
were
Castillo, did you tell your aunt when you spoke to her, before your daughter was moved to your house, "I can't take her now"?
Yes.
Just a second.
I
I
did.
cannot take
It's
her
too
now. I have
small.
no room.
Yes, I did say
Did
that.
she say that to you?
No, ma'am. I would have
Yes.
never, ever...
Oh,
Can I
please,
address her?
Miss Castillo.
Can I address
You
her,
are
please?
so full of baloney that
No,
you
I'm
told
not,
this
ma'am.
lady who had parented a
This
child
is my
for 8
husband
years.
who's a witness. He was there during the conversation.
place was
She
too
came
small.
to our house to see how big
This
it was.
action was forced upon Marnie. I asked her, can she wait till we get a bigger place, something. I could foresee the problems happening. The child was used to her own room, bigger things. All we had was this little small apartment. It was very difficult.
So who did you tell that to?
My aunt.
No! You listen to me. Who did you tell that to, sir?
I explained this to my wife.
I'm not interested whether you explained it to your wife. I'm interested in... I don't believe that she told Her aunt.
I did.
Oh, I don't believe you,
I
madam.
overheard it on the phone conversation.
I don't believe you. Sit down. I don't believe you. Because I don't believe that this
Ma'am,
lady
can
who
I
had
address you,
parented a
please?
child. Hey,
Please, can I state something? You know what? I went through a lot of trauma and turmoil over this
you
whole thing.
Hey, you caused a lot of trauma.
I didn't cause anything. My aunt is putting on a melancholy act here. I was the one that was the victim. They only agreed to take her if it was on adoption terms. Yes, I was having problems, but maybe I could have I went to drug treatment. They moved away when I was in drug treatment. I had no clue where they were. I was trying to get my life together, and they moved away. I didn't get in contact with the little girl again until she was 3 years old. I had no Christmas visitations with her, no holidays, nothing. My aunt's leading you to believe that she's the victim. She was never the victim in this. I and my little girl both were a victim. I was 18 years old, didn't know what I was doing. I asked them for help. They were like my parents to me. I believed
May
everything.
I see the bill, please, for the
bill
state
is
says
right
that
here,
you
and
owe
all
them.
the adoption paper stuff is
Can
here,
I
ma'am.
see what the bill is that the state says that you owe them?
I'm sorry to get angry, but this hurts me. I've gone through a lot with this, and my aunt didn't go through anything
Past
except last year,
Past due.
the nervous breakdown, if she even did.
4530.
She
Miss
constantly
Castillo,
called.
Miss Castillo, it's too bad that you have two children. Not one, but two.
I do have
Because
two.
when you, it's too bad you have any. Because when you call
That is a
yourself a
cruel thing to
victim,
say. That's a
when
cruel
you
thing to
call,
say to me.
when you call yourself a victim, the only victim in this case
Is the little girl.
That's right. You caused it. Your irresponsibility caused it. Your drug problem caused it. Your drug rehabilitation caused it. These people didn't need an additional responsibility. They took on that responsibility because of a problem, a mess you created. You compounded it. You compounded it by naming someone as the father of this child who precluded them, without a great deal of hassle, from going through with an adoption. At some point, your mother told this little girl at age 8 and a half
That has nothing to do with me.
told her that she was not her mother, that you were the mother. That's very confusing. I don't know where your sister went to psychiatry school, but she probably got it in some thing where you read behind it in a magazine, because she's not a very intelligent woman, clearly not an intelligent woman. Ultimately, the only one who suffered emotionally, who's an innocent, is your daughter. Next in line are these people, and way down the pike are you.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
This case has to do with money. And the only issue is whether I'm going to tell this lady that she's got to pay $4,300, or I'm going to tell you that you got to pay $4,300, which is the amount that was paid as enforced support by the state over an 8-year period. 8 years. So I guarantee you that this lady and her husband paid a lot more to raise this child for 8 years than $4,300. Guaranteed. Because if you figure that out on a weekly basis, you pay more to take care of a goldfish. That is the difference that the state had to pick up. You, madam, this is your problem. You're responsible for this money. You pay it. Case dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I hate you, you know that?
Is this yours? Out the back door to your right, please.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I had no clue I was an absent parent. I thought they adopted her. I agreed up on all their terms to only visit when they said.
That's not true.
That
I
is
called
true.
her right after I got the papers that
No,
Fillmore
you did
was
not
her father.
call me. I was in a drug
and told
treatment.
her
Didn't know where you were, lady.
that
Didn't know
she
where
just
you were.
stopped the case because it would have to go through the tribe.
What about the fact that your daughter is my dad's real daughter, Vicky, huh? What about that fact? You're my aunt and my cousin is my sister. What about that one? You don't want to bring the dirty laundry on this air? Your daughter is my sister, which is my cousin.
Wheelock, step forward, please.
20-year-old waitress Amy Bond is suing her former fiancé, Thomas Wheelock. Amy claims that when their relationship ended, Thomas stopped making the payments on his car loan, which she co-signed. Thomas says he only stopped when Amy refused to give him the car.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Judge, it's number 172 on the calendar in the matter of Bond versus Wheelock. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Bourne, You were engaged to this gentleman.
Yes, I was.
And have a child together.
Yes.
Now, according to your complaint, you are suing this gentleman because while you were together, you co-signed for a car for him.
Yes.
Big mistake.
Yes, I know.
And when you separated, you took back the car.
Yes, I did. The reason why I took it back was because he was unemployed at the time, and my name is on that insurance and on the car payments.
What about when you separated? You took the car with you initially when you separated.
I took the car the first 2 days, and then her and her mother came over to pick up the car, and I said I would refuse to pay for it if she took it.
That sounds fair.
I took it back because he was unemployed. He didn't make the insurance payments or the car payments that month before because he didn't have a job.
Did you miss a car payment?
No, I did not. Well, because she was paying most of the time for the car.
She was paying it?
Yeah.
For it. Why weren't you paying for it?
Because I'm a bum. Couldn't keep a job for very long and
Why not?
just had problems.
I mean, that's an interesting comment. Maybe truthful, but you classify yourself as a bum. And you said that with a smile on your face. You think that's right?
No.
Well, Mr. Wheelock, you know, I read your answer, sir. I'll get to the car in a second. I read your answer, sir, and your answer complains of lack of visitation with your son.
Mm-hmm.
And you hope that at least I can, in some small measure, resolve the issue of visitation with your son.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I want to expose a 2-year-old child to a bum?
Can I tell you that?
Well, you're the child's father. If you can't tell me that, who do you think can?
Then I don't deserve to see him.
Then I don't have to entertain your counterclaim.
Okay.
Are you being honest with me, sir?
Yes.
That takes care of that. That's an easy one. Miss Bourne, you have the car.
Yes.
You took the car back shortly after you separated.
Yes.
Then you have to sell it. I don't know what you're complaining about here.
I took it back because he wasn't making the payments. Why should I make the payments when he has the car?
You're absolutely right. You should have sold it immediately.
I've been
Meanwhile,
trying to.
It's been sitting in your garage.
Yes, I've been trying to. In May, a month after we broke up, I put it in an ad. I did not get any responses. I've gone down to 6,000 in another ad. Gotten some calls, but no offers yet. I've been trying my hardest. I don't know what else to do.
Mr. Wheelock, you want to say anything to me? Huh?
About what?
About this whole process.
I think it's a joke.
Why?
Because, I mean, either way, I have nothing to gain or lose.
But do you feel as if you have any responsibility at all towards helping to make up the deficit in what the car will sell for?
Your Honor, I told her that if she gave me the car, I'd be happy to pay for it.
Do you have a job now?
Yes, I do.
Who do you live with?
I live with my parents at the current time.
Do you help support your son?
No, I do not.
Why not?
Because I haven't been able to.
Well, if you haven't been able to help support your son, how are you going to pay for a car?
I just got this job. I was only making $7 an hour at the other job, and all of it went to rent.
To your parents?
No. I was living with my friends. It's kind of a confusing situation. Moved into my friend's house, and I was paying $450 a month for rent, and that's most of my paycheck.
So that you moved back to your parents' house?
Yeah.
Well, you know, this is a no-win situation. It's really a no-win situation. And I want you to think that there's really a much larger picture here, and the much larger picture here is that you two people, when you were still children, had a baby. Now, I don't know why you, sir, refer to yourself in such derogatory terms. I know you say that with a smile, but I attribute that to nervousness.
Actually, not really. I have a 2-year-old son, and I spend over $450 sleeping on my friend's floor for rent. I'm a bum.
Well, you made some misjudgments in your life. But this child is only going to have one father, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I have to straighten up because I have a child. And you never know, it may be the only child you'll ever have. But you're his father. And it's a very bad thing for a child to feel abandoned by a parent.
Yes, I've given him rights to see him. We've set up every Wednesday for him to come see him when he was living with his friends. And half the time he didn't show up. That's one of the reasons why I gave up, because I'd be sitting there waiting for him to show, and he just didn't make the effort to make it.
Why not, Mr. Wheeler?
I didn't want to get into this, but how do I say this? I've been afraid for myself and for my son every time I'm with her.
Why is that?
Because she's hurt me and she's hurt Brandon when I'm around. That's why we broke up.
How she hurt him?
She's throwing him through the air onto a bed. She threw a can towards him, did not hit him. She left him outside my parents' house when it was raining, and then she drove off, and that was her game. I mean, if it hurt me, that's what she wanted to do.
Did that ever happen?
No.
Your Honor, if we could continue this another day, I can get the 911 tape.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If he feels as if you made no effort to see him, it lends to a feeling of worthlessness to a child. They feel I'm not even a worthwhile enough person for my own father to come to see me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 20-year-old Amy Bond is suing her former fiancé, Thomas Wheelock, because she says he stopped making the payments on a car loan which she co-signed. Thomas says he only stopped when Amy refused to give him the car.
Just tell me what your side of the story is. I'm a pretty good judge of the truth of things.
She would, for the first 3 months that we split up, she had this attitude that she didn't want Brandon. So she'd always tell me, sending me pager messages, that she didn't want him. And then she'd leave him.
Listen.
And if I can get a letter from my parents, they would tell you that, but they're just afraid they won't be able to see Brandon anymore.
If you made a mistake with each other, put a period at the end of that and say, I have to move on with my life, but this was a mistake. We were 20 years old. 20 years old, you're still babies. You have a child. You have to act responsibly towards the child. If you made a mistake in picking him, and if you made a mistake in picking her as the mother of your child and he is the father of your child, that's not the baby's fault. You, sir, have a responsibility to see your child. And that doesn't mean in a controlled environment. Does he have a drug problem?
No.
He just has keeping a job problem, right?
And keeping promises. If he says he's going to show up to see his son, I expect him to be there.
Well, when you say see his son, I assume you don't mean seeing him in your home.
No, I go to when he was living with his friends, we went to his parents' house, a mutual place. His parents...
You mean to just drop the child off?
I would stay there.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, Ms. Bond, we're going to talk about that. I mean, I'm not interested in this car. This car is in your possession. You're going to have to sell this car, and if you have a loss and then you want to refile your case about the car, that's your prerogative. But you can't have the car and the money, too. Do you understand?
Yes.
Fine. But let's get back to this baby, because while the car is important, it's not half as important as the two of you and how you're going to interact with this child. Ms. Bond, you just said to me, I don't know why I stay there when he has visitation. You should not be there. You two people clearly don't like each other anymore. I don't think that there's open hostility, perhaps. I don't see that, but there might be. He should have an opportunity, unless there's some reason of drugs, alcohol, some kind of chemical dependency that might place the child at risk, he should have an opportunity to spend time with his child with you not present. He's the father. And maybe if he felt better about himself, taking some responsibility time-wise with his child, maybe he wouldn't think he's such a bum. And you may be, sir, just that. But you have a responsibility when it comes to visiting your child, because that's right for your son. Quite frankly, I don't give two hoots for the two of you. You made the mistake. But by compounding that, it seems to me you're going to hurt this child, because as he gets older, he's going to wonder where his father is. And all he's got to figure is that you made it difficult for his father to see him, then he's going to be angry with you, right?
Yeah.
And if he feels as if you made no effort to see him, he's not only going to be angry with you, but it lends to a feeling of worthlessness to a child. They feel, I'm not even a worthwhile enough person for my own father to come to see me. Think that's fair?
No.
He's the innocent. As young as you are, you did a very grown-up thing by making a baby. And it's your responsibility to see to it that this child does not grow up with a feeling of worthlessness because his own father doesn't want to see him. Take care of it.
Now, what about the loss of the car that I've already incurred already?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
Come on! Get
did,
it
Your
together,
Honor.
Mr. Bassett.
That's the truth.
You think I have stupid written over here?
No, I don't know.
Good.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
All right. You have a $2,000 bill from the time you separated until this time, and I'm going to give you that. But that's all you're getting because you have to either give the car back to him or you have to sell it, and whatever loss there is, it'll be absorbed. At that point, you do not have an anticipatory loss. You have a loss that you can put a number on. I have a $3,000 loss. Now I feel as if you have to contribute to that. But Ms. Bourne, he says that if you give him back the car, he will assume the payments for it. So that's what I think that you should do. Give him back the car. Mr. Wheelock, for a 20-year-old guy to say I'm a bum is a terrible thing. I don't know what kind of upbringing you had, but as a parent, if your parents permitted you to grow up to your age thinking that you're a bum, that they didn't do a terrific job, you better do a better job with your son. Because if you think you're a bum, unless you do something positive right now with a child that's 2 years old, your son will grow up thinking the same thing about himself, because that's what happens, and that's not fair. You don't seem as if you're a stupid young man. You've done some stupid things. So shape up, and when he has visitation, you don't have to be there, because that's control, and that's not fair. You're each parents, but you both have to act responsibly, and you better start paying some child support, sir. Now. That's all.
Excuse me, step out. Back go to your records.
And now the next case.
Parties on Stevenson versus Bassett. Step forward, please.
20-year-old Melissa Stevenson says her ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Grant Bassett, didn't pay her the money she loaned him to purchase a car. Grant claims Melissa was not his girlfriend, and the money for the car was a gift.
You two folks were an item, dated, were romantically involved. Do you claim you lent him money for a truck? Is that right?
That is correct.
No. We were not romantically involved. Or
Just a second.
couple.
She claims that you were romantically involved as a couple, and she lent you money for a truck, which you bought. You say she gave you an old truck of hers, and it was a loan.
Yes, ma'am.
And it got towed.
Yes, ma'am.
So, those are two diametrically opposed stories. Let's hear about it, Miss Stevenson.
Grant and I were friends and dating for 4 months. Grant had decided to take a job out of state in Arizona, and I was all for him doing that because it was a career advancement, and he did not have a vehicle, so he had no way of getting there. So we had batted back and forth the idea of me loaning him the money to purchase a truck. And he looked through the auto trader and he found what he wanted, and I came down with a Visa check, you know how you can draw money off your account, and we were going to go purchase this truck. What happened is they wouldn't take the check, they wanted cash, so I went in, got a cash advance off my credit card for $3,500, and we purchased the truck.
Go ahead.
So Grant leaves for Arizona, takes the truck with him, and we had a verbal agreement that he would make double payments on whatever my minimum balance was on the credit card. So first month goes by, I get a couple checks in the mail. I was, oh great, I can pay my payment. I was happy about that. And The next month rolls by. We talked on the phone, and I said, are you going to send me some money this month? And he was having trouble paying his bills, and he stopped sending me any money. Pretty much every month I called him, send me $50, send me something so I can pay my credit card bill. I'm a struggling student trying to pay my bills here too. Nothing came of that. No money was sent. I kept on him, and...
That's it? That's where we are right now?
Basically, yes.
All right, Mr. Bassett.
Okay. What happened is I left for Arizona, and Melissa had a truck, so she lent me her truck because I was going to move out of state. I did not want to purchase another vehicle in California and have to move to Arizona, reside, have to pay the registration fees. So my first 2 weeks in the academy, I bought a vehicle. So her vehicle sat at the apartment that me and my partner were sharing, and it wasn't registered. Wasn't registered in either one of our names. We could not re-register it. They couldn't pass smog. The axles were bent, so it got towed away.
Mr. Bassett, you just told me a story that is totally different from hers. You understand
Yes, Your
that?
Honor. I was never there during the transaction. I don't know where she got the money. I don't know where she got the vehicle.
Can I see your transactions, please?
Sure. Your Honor, I have some other things that will help verify my story. Grant was about to move back from Arizona, and I called him up. I said, listen, we're friends. Why would you do this to me? I want some proof that you're going to pay me back when you can. And I said, would you be willing to sign a contract stating you owe me the money? And he said, yeah, I'm your friend. I'll do that. I just jotted down that he did owe me the money, that he had given me a payment already on it, and that he would have to pay. I was getting really frustrated by this time. I had been paying on it for over a year and paying interest, 18% on my credit card. That's ridiculous.
Show him this, please. Ask him. Mr. Bassett, is that your signature on that loan agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, it is. And if you notice, their coincidence just happened to be on my birthday.
Happy birthday, sir.
Yeah.
Is that your signature?
Exactly. That was happy birthday.
I didn't know
yeah.
it was his birthday.
You signed that?
Yes.
So?
So she showed up on my birthday. All my friends were there, so I just signed it just to get her out of there.
Get out of here. Give this to me.
Your Honor?
Get out, just a second. Am I correct that you went to Arizona in order to become a police officer?
Yes, that's correct.
Corrections officer in a jail.
Just a second. Being a corrections officer, similar as far as I'm concerned to being a police officer.
Yes, ma'am.
You're supposed to be able to rely on what you say to me, Mr. Bassett. You don't sign something like this and then come and tell me this grandma story that it was your birthday and you just signed anything. Come on. Get it together, Mr. Bassett.
That's the truth.
You think I have stupid written over here?
No, I don't, ma'am.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The balance of the loan is how much, madam?
About a little over $4,900.
All right. Let me tell you what I have, sir. Let me tell you what proof I have today. Aside from just hearing these two stories, which, could be written from two different novels, I have proof that she withdrew the money from the bank. I have the fact that there was a car or a truck. And I have a signed statement from you with a signature that I have compared to your signature on your answer, and also you acknowledge that you signed that you owe her the money. That's the proof I have. Right?
Yes.
Stands up to me. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,900. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
He never came up with the car or the money, so he must have gotten a new vehicle with my truck.
All parties on Richardson versus Richardson. Step forward.
Nurse Robbie Gilmore Richardson had her husband, Leonard Richardson, arrested after she says he beat her up. She bailed him out after 60 days. Now she's suing for the money she used.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 185 on the calendar in the matter of Richardson versus Richardson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Richardson, there are several parts of your complaint against the defendant, who is, in fact, your legal husband. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let me understand this sequence of events here. For some reason, which I am sure you will explain to me, the two of you decided to have a small civil wedding ceremony. Is that right?
Yes, we planned that, and we planned to have a wedding later when we got established.
And you say that sometime after the wedding, he assaulted you. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you had him arrested?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, not intentionally.
What?
No, I didn't. I called the police, yes, Your Honor, I did.
And had him arrested?
Right.
And he spent a couple of months in jail?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you bailed him out?
Yes, Your Honor. He promised me when he filed his income tax, he was going to pay me back my funds.
From his income tax refund?
His income tax refund. He said if I bailed him out quicker, that he would has a good chance that he would go back on his job.
And you were ready to take him back?
Was I ready to take him back at the time? I was going to give it a trial basis just to see how he act when he get out of jail, yes.
Now, you were in jail for 2 months, sir?
Yes, I was.
Did she bail you out?
Yes.
How much did she put up to bail you out?
Well, the bail was $50,000, but I don't actually know how much she put up. But
How much did you have to put up to get him out of jail?
I put up $2,500.
Okay.
Okay, with monthly payments of $250, and I'm only working part-time.
Just a minute. $2,500 is the cash that you actually gave to the bail bondsman?
Right.
And then there was another $2,500?
Right, that I paid monthly.
So the whole bail was $5,000?
Right.
How many payments have you already made?
I only made like one payment because like I'm working part-time.
So you still owe the bail bondsman money?
Right. I still owe and owe everybody else. And you know, and I'm trying. I only work part-time, and there's only so much I can do.
Can I see the paperwork for the bail bondsman, please?
Sure you can, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Richardson, how many times have you been in jail, sir? I just want you to think about it for a second before you give me an answer, because I'm really smart. I do my homework. So how many times have you been in jail, sir?
about twice.
About twice is not an answer.
Twice.
For what?
For possession.
Possession of what? Drugs
marijuana.
or
Marijuana.
what? Possession of marijuana.
Yes.
When?
This was in '89.
And after that, sir?
I
Give me the next one.
think it was in '92.
For what?
Same thing.
Nothing other than marijuana, sir?
Nothing else I can recall.
Both of those were misdemeanors. Did you have
yes.
just fines, or were you incarcerated?
Incarcerated.
For how long? In '89?
I think one time I did about 6 months.
You did 6 months. You must have had a lot of marijuana. And on the other one?
I can't recall.
More than 6 months or less than 6 months?
I think it was more than 6 months.
More than 6 months. Well, if you did more than 6 months, sir, it was probably felony weight drugs, right? Right?
That's what they considered it.
That's what they said. Now, so that's in, let's get back to this. That's in '92. And when was your next arrest after '92, sir?
My next arrest in after '92.
Think. Hard.
I think I got, let me see, 93.
93?
Right.
For what?
I went for the same thing, but it was just
You don't learn, Mr. Richardson. How long did you stay in jail in '93?
I didn't do no time.
No time?
No.
So you got a freebie?
Right.
How was '94 for you, sir?
I don't remember '94. I don't remember '94.
'94. '94 was a good year. Let's move on to '95.
What happened in '95?
I'm asking you.
I don't remember. I don't recall.
Well, after '93, sir, when was the next time you were arrested? Think hard.
'94, '95.
94, '95. maybe 96, and then we come into 97, and you got arrested for this, so you were in jail for 60 days, right?
Yes.
Well, so far, sir, we've got more than a couple, 2, including this one. We have a couple, 4 or 5, including this one. Miss Richardson, let me ask you a question. Did you know how many times he had been incarcerated when you agreed to marry him?
Yes, he knew.
No.
Did you know how much time he had spent in jail?
He went to Frisco for some years. I lost contact.
You mean you didn't know how many times he had been in jail?
She knew.
Well, like around about maybe, no, not exactly. I
She
never
knew.
really know how many times he's
How many
been.
times have you been arrested?
How many times have I been arrested?
That's my question, Mrs. Richardson.
Okay, I was arrested one time. I stayed in jail a week. That was like maybe 10, 20 years ago.
And since then, nothing?
Nothing, no. I learned my lesson.
That's almost clean. That's almost a clean slate. So you knew, and I believe that you probably knew, that he had spent some time in jail. Spent some time in jail, and according to you, beat you up. And you still were going to give him another chance.
I've been knowing him for 8 years. This never happened to me. He never hit me before. Never.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Well, blows means you hit him and he hit you.
Only thing I did at the end was throw a shoe.
What?
One shoe.
One shoe?
One shoe.
And later today,
He told me he just saw her and he just flipped. So I said, what the hell you mean flipped? Then I asked him, why can't I come over to his house and just flip? Excuse me.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robbie Gilmore Richardson says her estranged husband, Leonard Richardson, owes her part of the $50,000 bail to get him out of jail.
Now, tell me about the assault, because he says he's not going to pay you back because you really started this whole thing yourself.
No, I didn't start
All right,
anything.
but that's his...
He told me why.
Hey! That's his defense. I don't say I believe his defense. What I'm asking you is, you tell me how this occurred, this assault. Tell me what happened.
Okay. One day we was getting out the car, going in the store, and you know, it was already something up in the air. He was upset about something, okay? And then, you know, some words were passed and licks were passed.
Nah.
Look, just a second. Words were passed. You said something to him.
Yeah,
He said something.
Right.
You said something to him. He said something to you. And then I believe you just said to me very quietly, licks were passed. Licks, I assume you mean blows. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, how did that start?
It started because he thought I was somewhere for about He was upset at me.
No, you thought I was
for
out
certain.
running around.
Mr. Richardson?
He thought he was upset with me that he didn't know about where my whereabouts was at a particular time.
Okay.
Okay, but
So you're having an argument verbally back and forth. Mr.
Right.
Richardson, you interrupt her again, you're going to be in serious trouble.
Okay. And then, you know, and then after that, it was, you know, some blows.
Well, blows, I know. Well, blows means you hit him and he hit you.
No, I didn't hit him.
You didn't hit him?
No.
You didn't hit him at all?
Only thing I did at the end was throw a shoe. One shoe.
One shoe?
One shoe.
And how many times did he hit you?
I don't remember that.
Were you seen by a doctor?
No, because I'm a nurse, so I went home and patched it up myself.
Did you take any photographs of your injuries?
It was photographs taken, but it's police property and I can't get a hold to it.
Oh, okay.
I tried, but I can't get
Okay,
it.
so you didn't go to the doctor. You were, in fact, injured.
Right.
Where were
Right.
you injured?
My face.
Mm-hmm.
My back was all scraped up.
Mm-hmm.
And I had glass in my back.
Now, what happened with that criminal case, Mr. Richardson? Did you appear in court when you were supposed to?
Yes, I did.
And what happened with the case?
Well, it's still pending.
What? It's still pending?
Yes.
Well, I'm certainly not going to ask you any questions about this assault, sir. But that's really not what this case is all about, because you have a lawyer in that case?
Yes, I do.
Did you tell your lawyer you were going to proceed with this civil case
Yes.
before the
He
criminal
told me
case?
It was all right.
You did?
Yes.
And the lawyer said it was okay?
Yes.
I would suggest you get yourself another lawyer.
So, excuse me.
In any event, now,
Excuse me,
Mr.
Your
Richardson,
Honor.
the only thing I want to ask you, sir, is your bail was set at $50,000, $5,000 cash. She put up $2,500 to get you out of jail, and she has to pay out another $2,500 to the bail bondsman, which is 10% of your bail, $5,000. You want to tell me why you don't think you should give her the money back?
Because I never told I would pay her.
Does the fact that you said you were going to get your income tax check refund back and that you would pay her the money out of your refund check, does that have a familiar
Well, I was
ring
told I
of
would
truth
help her with
to it?
some of the money, yes.
You told her you would help her with some of the money?
Yeah. If
Oh,
we was
now
gonna be
we're
together.
getting somewhere. And how much help were you prepared to give her?
Well, it was only $500. I can go with $200, $300.
Now, you say she did this getting you out of jail on her own. At the time when they said to you, Mr. Richardson, you are free to go,
Mm-hmm.
did you know it was your wife who had posted the bail?
Yes.
Yes. Did you say to them, I'm sorry, I can't go out of jail. I want to stay in jail because I can't pay her back? Did you say that?
No.
So, Mr. Richardson, pay her the money. Judgment in this case is for the
Excuse
plaintiff.
me. Excuse me, I have something else to say, Your Honor.
What?
I had paid the attorney.
Madam,
and I
the
got
legal limit.
I got collect phone calls.
Do you understand? When I'm speaking, nobody else speaks.
Oh, excuse me, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Your
The
Honor.
financial limit in this court is $5,000. According to your bail receipt, that's what you owe. Both you paid and you owe to the bail bondsman. I'm not interested in any of your other claims, madam, because you've already reached the maximum that this court can give you. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Back door to your right, please.
He promised me when he filed his income tax that he was going to pay me my funds. $2, $5, something. $10, something. Give me
You got
something.
that.
No.
Even more. She called the police on her own line and called the police. And then she turned around and wanted to bail me out. Then she wanted me to pay her back all the money.
I don't think so. You didn't even give me $2, not 50 cents.
And now the next case.
Parties on Norris versus Lambert. Step forward, please.
19-year-old Latacia Norris says her former boyfriend, 20-year-old Kenneth Lambert, snatched her gold chain necklace.
I'm going to turn to you, sir. You dated the defendant for a while. You were her boyfriend.
Yeah, I was.
And then you broke up.
Yeah.
But while you were her boyfriend, you gave her a gold chain. Right?
Nah, that ain't right. Yeah, it's right.
What?
Nah, that's not right. Hers was stolen, so I gave her mine so she could have one. When hers
While
was
you were her
stolen.
boyfriend.
Yeah.
So you didn't buy her this gold chain, you gave her yours as a
Yeah.
present,
Yes.
right? And then you broke up.
Yes.
Then you were at a dance together and you saw her dancing around with somebody else.
Yes.
And that made you mad.
Yes.
So you went over to her and you tried to grab the gold chain she was wearing off her neck, according to you, right?
Yes.
Didn't come off right away with the first pull, so you pulled it again.
Yes.
And this time you did break it.
Yes.
But it turns out that it wasn't the chain you had given her, but a chain that she had borrowed from her mother, right?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He needed a car. I know. Just a second. How unreasonable can you be? He needed a new Camaro.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Latacia Norris wants her former boyfriend, Kenneth Lambert, to pay for the gold necklace he snatched.
Step up here. You called him.
Yes.
You're Mrs. Norris?
Yes.
And what did you say to this gentleman when you called him?
When the incident first happened, I called him and asked him what right did he have to snatch on my daughter in the first place. He had no reason to be snatching on her, and why did he do it? He told me he just saw her and he just flipped. So I said, what the hell you mean flipped? Then I asked him, why can't I come over to his house and just flip? Excuse me. I was quite angry. As a matter of fact, this chain that Kenny did buy Latasha as a gift, it's this tiny. The chain that I had, it's this thick. I left a picture there. Surely you could tell that chain.
A picture? Let me see. When you started to say, you thought surely he could tell the difference between the chain that he bought her and this chain.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he thinks that you fed it and it grew.
Maybe so.
Okay. So this is the chain he broke. Now, he did say that he would replace it, right?
Yes, he did. When I spoke to Kenneth, he told me he would buy another chain. So sometime around November or so, he and my daughter left my house, going downtown to the jewelry mart to buy a chain. She told me Kenneth had bought a chain. So Kenneth told me he didn't have enough money to pay for it. He was going to put it on layaway. And I said, okay, that's fine. Maybe I'll have my chain by the first of the year.
And according to you, it was $300?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So it was $300 and he put down $25.
Yes.
Is that right, Kenneth?
Yes.
But then you didn't finish paying for it.
No, I didn't.
Why not?
I had a child.
You had a child?
Yeah. And my child is more important than that chain. So I paid. I took care of my daughter. And on top of that, I bought a brand new car, so I didn't have the money to pay for it.
Run this by me again. You said it very quickly. You had a child.
Yeah.
And you went out and bought a brand new car.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of car did you buy?
Camaro.
A brand new Camaro. How much you pay for that a month?
About $340.
$340 a month. And how much do you pay for your child support?
$273.
There's your priority for you. Do you love that priority? $340 for your Camaro. And how much to what for your child?
$273.
And nothing for the chain?
Nah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now.
May I please add?
Sure.
I spoke with Kenneth throughout the time from now up until a month and a half ago. And I asked Kenny, when are you going to buy my chain? I said, I call you or whatever, and you never return calls. He told me that they couldn't make long-distance calls on their phones. So I went by his house one day, and his cousin was there. And I said, Donnie, where's Kenny? And he says, I don't know. I said, well, Donnie, come on now. Tell Kenny I'm looking for him. I wrote him a note and said, Kenny, you lied to me. You told me you was going to get my jewelry. You lied.
He needed a car.
I know.
Just a second. How unreasonable can you be? He needed a new Camaro.
So meanwhile, his cousin here said to me, oh man, I thought Kenny took care of that a long time ago. Kenny don't take care of nothing, right? I said, yeah, that's true.
Well, Kenny takes care of some things. He takes
Yeah,
care
the
of making
car,
a
the
baby
baby.
and a Camaro.
Yeah. So I called Kenneth on his job.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
You go get your chain. It was $300, the one that you picked out?
Yes.
Go pick it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Step out. There you go.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
He's on Leporati versus Chattel. Step forward, please.
24-year-old Jennifer Leporati says when she split from 28-year-old Sean Chattel, he kept the camcorder and still owes her for a loan.
Order. All rise. All rise, please. Your Honor, this is number 174 on the calendar in the matter of Leporati versus Chattel. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
This used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
You lived together for a while in his parents' home. Is that right?
No, I always resided at my father's house, but I did spend time at his mother's.
Did you ever sleep there?
Yes.
More than once a week?
Yes.
All right. According to your complaint, he owes you $350, $250 that you gave him to pay back some money for his daughter's school,
His son,
daycare,
yes.
or his son's school. How old is this child?
4.5.
Were you married to his mother?
Yes, I was for 4 years.
And when were you divorced?
About 3.5 years ago.
So how old is the child?
4.5. He was 1.
He was 1 when you
Yes.
separated. And in addition to the $250 that you lent him for the child's daycare, you had purchased a camcorder together for $200. When you split up, he kept the camcorder.
Correct.
Your defense to this action, sir, is?
I have the camcorder, yes.
Okay. You have the camcorder and you
I've
paid?
always had possession of it, yes.
And she paid?
We went in on it together as like everything that we do together. We just we buy something, we owned it, and it just surprised me that she asked for the $100 back. So
Because he decided since he broke up, it was his house, it became his possession, no longer mine.
Okay, so let's take care of this $100 camcorder first. You weren't married?
No.
So you each put in half of the camcorder,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
It was $200. You kept the camcorder.
Yep.
Is that fair?
I think it's fair.
Tell me why.
Because for one, it was my idea to buy it. It was my partner that I bought it from, and she's never even used it, and it needed work, so I had to pay for the work to be done on it.
When did
So,
it need work?
We didn't even use it, but maybe a couple of weeks, and then I needed to buy a new battery for it. The charger went bad, so it wasn't even working. I paid for all that.
But he's forgetting to let you know that when we bought the camcorder, I put up the $200 up front, and then he paid me back the $100 for it.
Just a second. You say here in your answer to her complaint that the friend that you bought this camera from was a really good friend, and he was selling you this great camcorder for a rock-bottom price.
Correct.
Well, so why don't you think that you owe her half, which is the $100 that she put in? Otherwise, it seems very inequitable to me, sir, that you got the camera and she's got nothing.
Okay, I guess I look at it like if we were to have we have other possessions together. Say she bought me a skateboard. Am I supposed to give her half the skateboard money back because she bought it for a gift?
This is not a gift, sir. I mean, don't you
Everything
understand the
we
difference?
bought together was ours.
This is not a gift. There's a difference between a gift and something you went into together. She put up the $200. You gave her $100 back. That means you bought this as a joint item. Assuming that you were married, it would be considered community property.
Correct.
Court would order it to be sold. You'd get 100. You'd get 100, or one of you would get the camera, and the other one would have to pay the other for half of its value. Do you understand?
Yes.
There's a difference between that and buying you a skateboard, sir, because you can only fit one behind on a skateboard, the last I looked. Right?
Sure.
All right, so $100, Ms. Laporte, you have. Now, what about this $250?
Well, when we were going out, I used to front Sean money for various bills, like his son's daycare, et cetera, or something
Why
that
did
he
you do
needed to
that?
pay. Because I loved him, and he always was responsible and always paid me back on time. I never had a problem with it until the end. And a couple weeks before we broke up, I lent him $250. Some of it was for daycare, and then others was to get him by until his checks came in from his clients. So I gave him the money, and then that following week we broke up, and he didn't pay me back on a couple of occasions. We met, we talked, he said that he would meet me to pay me back, and he never did. One time he told me he'd meet me at a restaurant. I waited for him for an hour. He never showed up. I called him the next day. He said he didn't feel he had to chase me around town to pay me back the money.
Does any of that sound familiar to you?
No, I mean, absolutely not.
Your Honor, I have...
Shut up!
It just
No,
really...
don't look at your feet. Look at my eyes.
Okay.
Does any of what she said about making appointments to meet her, to pay her
One time,
back...
yes.
Shh. Let me finish. Meeting her to pay her back the money. None of that sounds familiar to you?
Meet her to talk about the issue that she thinks that I owe her the money when I paid her back. That's what we were supposed to meet for. I felt it was irrelevant to even meet with her, so I didn't. And she didn't have a pager or a phone, so I couldn't call her, so I didn't show up.
I had a cellular phone on me that day.
Just a second.
Okay.
Let me understand something. Are you telling me, sir, that you behaved in an unchivalrous manner by making an appointment to meet her to discuss something and then decided that you didn't feel as if you had anything to discuss and then you didn't show up?
Said, yes.
And then you didn't show up? Is
I
that
couldn't
right?
get
Is
a
that
hold
what
of
you're
her.
telling me?
Yes, I did.
Good. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff. $350. Thank you very much.
Excuse, you may step out. back door to your right.
I'm happy he got what he deserves. He gets away with everything, and I didn't want him to get away with it.
I don't get away with. What are you talking about? Explain yourself.
Mommy bills you out of
Oh,
this. Grandma
give me a
bills you
break.
out of this.
Give me a
Okay.
break.
You know it's true. I know it's true.
And now the next case.
Party's on Ambrose versus Moronian. Step forward, please.
27-year-old actress Melinda Joyce Ambrose says hairdresser Anita Moronian made her hair turn green. Anita says somebody else botched the job.
Miss Ambrose, you are dissatisfied with the defendant's services that she performed for you as a hairdresser.
Yes.
And not only, according to your complaint, do you want to be compensated by having her return the money that was paid, but you also want her to pay for, let's see, $600 for what it cost you to repair your hair, another $1,000 or so for you to take new headshots because you're an actress.
Yes.
This better be good. Go.
Okay. I have a picture of what my hair... I've been growing out my hair for 2 years. I went to expensive salons to have them take care of my hair. Anita is a relatively expensive... She works at a relatively expensive salon. I had been seeing her for at least 7 months. I have a picture of what my hair looked like before she went and permed it. It's bleached hair. And I had put some temporary color in my hair.
Just a second, let's stop. You sort of glossed over that. So you put some color in your hair.
Yes.
And then when did you call her after you had put the color in your hair?
The morning after, and I told them what I told her boss, and then I told her
You
exactly
spoke to her.
what I put in my hair.
Yes.
Yes.
And she said what?
That it was still safe to perm it and color correct it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You want to tell me how horrible your wife looked?
Her hair after coming back from the salon was very bad. It was very frizzy, it was very damaged, it was orange and green.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melinda Joyce Ambrose says hairdresser Anita Moronian cut her hair too short, permed it, and turned it green. Anita says she warned her not to color her hair.
Just a sec. Color corrected, which means you put something in your hair.
That was too dark. It was darker than I liked it.
So then you made an appointment, and when did you go in?
It was that morning.
And what happened when you got there that morning?
I checked with her again and again and again, and I said, I used Clairol. It's a version #1. This is in my hair now. She obviously saw the color difference because she had been my sole hairdresser for 7 months. I said, are you sure it's safe to perm on this hair?
Miss Ambrose, why did you take it upon yourself to do a home hair color on yourself if you had been going to very expensive salons for months and months?
My hair turned out darker than I wanted it to, and so I thought it wouldn't be a problem for her to put basic rinse through my hair to...
In a second.
Okay. A basic rinse through to soften the color and to perm it. It's a non-ammonia, non-peroxide solution, and I told her exactly what it was, and I asked if it could be done. I was very clear about that. I mean, I asked her over and over so much that I felt paranoid, and she assured me that it was fine. She assured me that it was fine to do a color and a perm that day.
Okay, so what did you do?
I went in, got the perm done. It turned out stringy and strawy and awful. Most of the color washed out. Some of it basically baked in would be the right words. It stuck and wouldn't come out, and that turned kind of orange. There were parts that turned green. After Anita saw that, Anita looked at my hair. She told me not to see anyone for 2 days because it was really damaged. She couldn't color my hair that day because it was too damaged, even though she had agreed to at the beginning of that service. And basically let me go. She said not to touch it for 2 days and then to use a semi-permanent color, which is exactly what I did.
Just a second. She told you to do another self-help?
No, she said she wanted to put the semi-permanent color in.
Okay, so she told you to leave with the perm that you said was not good and not do anything for 2 days, and then you should come back to the salon for whatever corrective measures with regard to color she would do.
Yes.
And then what did you do?
And I left out a detail, is that she cut off most of the green and the orange, making my hair basically a couple inches shorter than it is right now.
Well, you wouldn't want green and orange in your hair. So then she told you to come back in 2 days. What did you do?
In 2 days, I went to someone else who was not her because I would never go back to somebody who did that to my hair again.
Miss Ambrose, you're talking as if this lady did what she did to you on purpose. You don't believe that she did this to you on purpose.
That's what she told me,
Hey,
Your Honor.
you don't believe she did this to you on purpose.
Not on purpose, out of seeking money and out of negligence, yes.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
First of all, she's calling. I mean, I'm not a better actress than she is. She's acting, but I don't know how to act. So she called the salon around 2 o'clock in the morning, left a message. I mean, this is not a normal hours.
2 o'clock in the morning? This is before you
She
worked on
brought
her?
me in my
Shh,
day
listen
off
to me.
do
Listen
her
to me.
hair.
Stop talking. Listen to me.
Right.
Well, I want to know about when you started to do work on her.
Not
with this perm.
She called that morning. It's my day off. She begged them to call me and have me to go and do her hair. In my day off, I went to do her hair. Tried to do a favor to her, and she's telling me negligently
Just
I
a
burned her
second.
hair.
What happened when you got to the salon?
She came in the salon. I came in my day off. I did her hair, what I had to do.
What
Her
did you
hair
do?
I permed her hair.
What kind of a discussion did you have before you permed her hair?
I mentioned to her, I said, every time you have a chemical process, anything happens, your ends might little damage. And it's very possible with the perms. It's always possible.
Did you tell her that?
Yes, I did.
She just said ends might have a little damage. That's like not 3 inches.
Your Honor, can I continue?
Yes, continue.
So I did her perm, but when she came, she had already green hair on her hair.
Just a
Every
second.
time you have a perm, your hair shrinks because it's curly.
Of course, that's, you know, you
So
don't have to be a
I
physicist to
trimmed the
figure that out.
ends. I didn't chop her, I didn't shorten it 3 inches. It's already, when you perm the hair, it's by himself, it shrinks.
So when you cut off the ends?
I cut off the ends.
And you told her to come
And
back
I told her, I said, I cannot color your hair because she wanted me to color it. I said, come back in 2 days because a perm needs to oxidize the neutralizer has to oxidize on the hair too, between 24 to 36 hours. So I told her when she come back, I can put semi-permanent color. Since that day, I never seen her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I knew from the first day I met you, you are a weirdo. There's something wrong about you.
Thank you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Actress Melinda Joyce Ambrose says that she could not go on auditions after hairdresser Anita Moranyan ruined her hair. Anita says she's not the one who ruined it.
In order for me to say to you, I'm comfortable with any of your allegations, you had been using this lady for 7 months. You put your own process on your hair, which you know if you're a smart lady, and you rely on your looks to make a living that you shouldn't have done. Clearly, because you didn't like the result of what you did, you called her. She came into work on her day off to do your hair, to perm it, right?
Apparently, yes.
Apparently, yes. So I assume that when you called, you were hysterical, that your hair was too dark, and that somebody could please come in and do your hair.
I doubt I was hysterical.
My problem is, you'd been using this lady for color.
Yes.
You started a process that you hadn't used before. You were going to get a perm. A perm was going to change your appearance because it was going to make your hair curly instead of glorious and straight.
Yes.
All right, so that you were going to do anyway, which would have required, if I read your complaint correctly, additional headshots, because then if you had curly hair, it's different from straight hair. It's also shorter hair.
That's why I only asked for 2, because in the year that it's going to take me to grow my hair out back to there, I'm assuming 1 headshot session would have had to have happened anyways. But I lost all the headshots that I had. I can't use them now. I can't ever use them again. And I'm going to have more than that done
So
in
then
this
you
next year.
you learned 2 things. A, you should let a professional colorist do your hair if you rely on something. B, if you decide to have 3 processes on your hair, you risk your hair turning orange and green.
Your Honor, can I ask you to please understand
Sure.
one thing?
Sure.
And also, I'd like you to hear from my husband, if that would be possible.
What does he want to tell me?
How horrible it looked right after she did it, because he saw it.
Oh, sure, I'll hear you. I'll hear you. Step up, sir. Your name?
Nick Ambrose.
You want to tell me how horrible your wife looked?
Her hair after coming back from the salon was very bad. It was very frizzy. It was very damaged. It was orange and green. And I know how careful she is about her hair, and how she was very, very, very insistent that she told what was on the box of the actual label of the box of the dye she put on the day before, so that the person who was doing it would know exactly what was there and would be able to judge whether they could do a safe process or not.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a software engineer.
Let me ask you this question, sir. If somebody has a computer and they take their computer and they try, and doesn't seem to be working right, and they have a guarantee that goes with the computer, and they decide, well, they think that they could fix this computer, so they take a toothbrush and a toilet plunger. Say, I can fix this computer. I'm going to stick in the toilet plunger. I'm going to roto-root this computer, right? And then the computer doesn't work, and they bring it to you, and they say, hey, I got a guarantee here. The computer doesn't work. And you say, listen, there's an intervening thing here. There's an intervening thing here. You took this toothbrush, you took this toilet plunger, you try to fix the computer yourself. I don't understand why a woman who has been going to what she says to me is an expensive salon for 7 months, one night gets a bee in her bonnet that she wants to change her hair color, goes down to a drugstore and buys a box of something for $2.98 and puts it in her hair, or for $4.95 and puts it in her hair. And then she's so hysterical because of the way she looks that she can't even wait for this lady to come in on her regular day. She's got to come in the very next day and not say to her, listen, could you just fix the color for me, throw a rinse in, I just want to get it back, but comes in and says, I want my hair permed.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You had here a dissatisfied customer.
Right.
Your dissatisfied customer paid you $125 for a process that she was dissatisfied with. Let me tell you what good business is. Good business is saying to a dissatisfied customer, listen, I'm sorry that you were dissatisfied. You've been my customer for 7 months. You've paid me for 7 months. You're dissatisfied. I don't think I did anything wrong, but you're dissatisfied with the service. I don't want you to be dissatisfied. I'm going to give you back your $125. That's what she originally called for, correct? You said you called because you wanted your money back.
Yeah.
And
she wanted more.
Hey! Some people are so stupid, they just don't understand. You said you wanted your money back.
Yes.
And if they had given you your money back, this matter would have been closed.
If it had happened right away, yes.
Good. Now it's right away.
It's not right away.
It's right away to me, madam. I'm giving you your money back, $125. It's more than I think that you deserve. I think that you contributed in part to having your hair damaged. You can't do one process, another process, a perm, and then a color to your hair and expect your hair to be as pristine as it is in this picture.
Your Honor, didn't she have a responsibility to tell me that before she did the process?
I believe that she told you that you were going to have damage to your hair. The fact that you didn't want to hear it is your problem. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $125, period. End of case.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I was working just fine. I had an agent, and they all thought my hair was fine. Anita didn't make me beautiful, and Anita did do nice corrective color, and that was great, and that's why I trusted
What's
her
that
with the
mean?
pearls. It means you made my hair what
sure.
I wanted.
Thank you very much. That's what I wanted to hear it. That's
For
all
7
what I
months
wanted
you
to
did,
hear
and
it.
that's what it was in my
And I knew from the first day I met you, you are a weirdo. There's something wrong about you.
Thank you. Well, I'm really glad I referred people to your salon.
Parties on Tracy versus Jackson. Step forward, please.
Kathy Tracy says when her boyfriend, 23-year-old Steve Jackson, caught her at her ex-boyfriend's house, he destroyed her property. Now she's taking him to court to recover the damages.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Sir. Judge, this is number 191 on the calendar in the matter of Tracy versus Jackson. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Miss Tracy, your complaint reads like a short novel, but let me see if I understand it. This used to be your boyfriend?
Yes.
And then you broke up. Is that right?
Yes.
When you broke up with this gentleman, your name is Steve?
Yes, that's right.
You became involved with someone by the name of?
Greg Schwartz.
Greg. Then you moved in with Greg, and that didn't work out. correct?
Correct.
That you got back together with
Steve.
Steve. And moved some of your furniture into his apartment.
Correct.
Pick it up from there.
I moved my furniture into his house because I needed a place to store it. Steve offered his house to store it with no problem. So I...
Well, just a second. You not only moved your furniture into the house, am I correct that you moved yourself into the house?
No, I did not.
Just your furniture?
Correct.
So you didn't stay at his house at all?
I did stay at his house, but not permanently. I used his house for storage of my furniture. I lived with my grandparents at their home.
Okay. So you weren't dating him at that point when you moved your furniture back into the house?
Yes, I did. Yes, we were.
So you were. You had renewed your relationship with him?
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
And I moved my things into his house because he said it was okay. It was only a temporary situation until I decided to move back out again and take my things. And after spending a few months with him, we both realized that our relationship wasn't working out, and I broke it off with him. He became upset and angry and destroyed my furniture and belongings.
What furniture did he destroy, Tracy?
I have estimates and pictures.
Just tell me.
My couches, my bed, my VCR. I brought my VCR here for you to see. My comforter, my lamps. There's a garage door involved here, but that's later. My dining room table and my patio furniture. And
okay, did you get any of your things back?
Yes, I recovered damaged property as well as what wasn't damaged.
What wasn't damaged?
My desk, and I would have to say that's about it.
Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
Now, I read your answer. Am I correct, sir, that you do not deny destroying this furniture?
That's correct.
Okay, let's start with why you destroyed it.
Okay, the first thing why is because we didn't, she did not call it off. What actually happened was I found out that she was doing something behind my back with the same gentleman that we moved the furniture out of, his house.
So you found out, according to you, that the plaintiff, Miss Tracy, was seeing Mr. Schwartz again.
That's right.
And that made you?
Upset, angry. That happened in June of '97. It was found out on June 20th. Confronted her about it. She lied time and time again, even though I knew that I saw her car at his house. I left a note on her car. I'm sure she didn't bring that with her today.
So you found her car in front of his house. What were you doing in front of his house?
Driving by to work.
You didn't have to go out of your way in order to do
not
that?
At all.
Excuse me, Your Honor, I have to...
Just a second. I'll get back to you. So you left a note on her car?
Right.
Saying that caught you, something like that?
Basically.
All right. But that wasn't enough. Then you got very angry.
No, actually after that, I confronted her about it. After a couple days of lying to me, she finally admitted it. And then we were still talking with each other about it. I can't really say if we were together or not. And about a month after that, I was just upset one night and got sick of seeing the stuff that she gave me at my house. Had the dining room table in my dining area and got upset and just didn't want it anymore. And that's why I destroyed it. I did not want to see it anymore. I didn't want it in my house anymore. I didn't want to have anything to do with her anymore.
Tell me how you destroyed it.
Some of the chairs that were broken were kind of already broken because they were, like, if you step on the chair or if you rest your foot on one of the wooden rests.
I mean, did you pick up the furniture and fling it and hit it? All right, so you destroyed it.
Yeah.
Wasn't just the dining room table and
It was
chairs.
a dining room table and chairs, a couch.
How did you destroy the couch?
Threw it off my balcony. Because it was up in my bedroom, because she gave me some of the furniture.
We'll get to the giving, because that's your defense to this action. You say she gave you all this furniture.
Right.
And therefore it was yours to destroy. Tell me how she gave you the furniture, Mr. Jackson.
In March, the middle of March of this year, '97, we were together. She came over to my house one day, found out that her ex-boyfriend was cheating on her.
This same Mr. Schwartz.
Found out he was cheating on her, got really mad, decided to go to his condo where she had her furniture, and I offered to help move the stuff out along with 2 of my roommates, who we all have trucks, so we decided to go over there. And one day we moved all the stuff out of the garage, out of the townhouse. And I asked her, where do you want to put this? She said, well, I don't even want this stuff. Why don't you want it? It reminds me of him. And I go, well, if you don't want it, then, you know, what are you going to do with it? She said, do you want to take it? I go, I don't want all this stuff. Had couches, a table, lamp, and some personal items, kitchenware and a mattress, Christmas ornaments. I go, I don't want all this stuff. But the stuff that I can use, fine, I'll take. Dining room table, a couple couches, a lamp, and that's it. Everything else went in my garage.
What about the VCR over there that's got a big dent in it?
That was not for me. I don't know how she can justify me doing that. She had the VCR. She had it in my house, but I did not touch her VCR.
You mean when you were destroying all the other stuff, you didn't just happen, one of the couches or the dining room table and chairs or something didn't plop itself on that VCR?
I didn't walk into the closet and look for a VCR just to destroy. She didn't have her stuff out in my house. She had
I understand that. Somebody destroyed that.
I don't know who.
You were in a rage. Is that a fair statement,
That could be a good statement, yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Steve couldn't handle the fact that I didn't want to be with him anymore. He was drunk. And he was drunk. But, I mean, it's apparent that he has a drinking problem.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Steve Jackson admits he flew into a rage when he found out his girlfriend, Kathy Tracy, was spending time with her ex-boyfriend. But he says the property he destroyed belonged to him, and Tracy has no grounds for this lawsuit.
Mr. Jackson, I find it difficult. She says that she just stored her stuff at your house while she was looking for another place. I don't think that you develop a sentimental attachment for furniture that reminds you of another boyfriend. That doesn't make sense. Common sense suggests to me that a couch is a couch, and a dining room table and chairs is a dining room table and chairs. And just because an old boyfriend ate off of it or sat on it doesn't mean that you don't want to look at it anymore, sir. Because if she was dating you again, she was still going to look at the furniture, right? If it was in your house. And she was going to be looking at the same furniture that Schwartz sat on and ate off of. So why would she say, I don't want to look at it anymore, and then put it in a place where she have to look at it every single day?
She said she didn't want it anymore.
You mean she didn't want to possess it anymore? But
I'm just telling you what she said. When we moved it into my house, she said, I do not want this stuff.
Your Honor.
I have
That sounds
witnesses.
like nonsense. Yeah. Do I have any witnesses here?
Yes.
There are a
We
lot of people on either side, but important witnesses. I don't want to hear nonsense witnesses because it's a busy day.
Can I?
Yeah?
Yes. Good.
Step up here. State your name.
My name's Chris.
Chris, you have a last name.
Chris Delacroce.
Okay.
I helped him move out the furniture out of Schwartz's house.
Yes.
Okay. It was my understanding that she didn't want it because it reminded her
I don't want to know what
of
your
him.
understanding was. Your understanding is relevant to you. It's not particularly relevant to me. I want to know what you saw and heard.
I saw her furniture move into our house.
And what did you hear her say, if anything? Right here. Nothing.
Nothing right to me. No.
Good. Did you hear her say? Did you hear her say anything to anyone else?
No.
Good. Sit. You have any other important witnesses for me to hear, Steve?
No.
Perfect. Do you have any witnesses you wish to me to hear? Important ones.
Yes, I do. I have Steve's former roommate who lived in the house with him before my furniture was moved in there, while it was moved in there, and after it was destroyed, and I took what was remaining of it.
Step up here. State your name, please.
Vanessa Williams.
Miss Williams, did you ever have a conversation with Mr. Jackson about the furniture?
Mm-hmm.
Means a yes or a no?
Yes, I did.
When did you have that conversation about the furniture?
The night after it happened.
The night after it was destroyed?
Mm-hmm.
And?
No. Was that a yes or a no?
Yes.
Okay. What did he say to you?
He said that he asked me that he said that he felt bad that he did this, and he asked me if he should reimburse her for this. And I told him whatever he wants to do. I didn't really want to get involved at the time.
You his girlfriend at the time?
No, no.
You just was staying there with him?
Platonic roommate.
I rented a room from him.
So he asked you whether he should reimburse her?
Right.
Mr. Jackson,
And then-
a couple of other questions I have for you. Why don't you sit down, Miss Weems? Thank you. Did you have any of your own stuff in the apartment?
My house?
Yeah, in your
yes,
house.
I did.
To destroy your own stuff?
No.
So you had selective rage. Right?
That's correct.
Your selective rage, Mr. Jackson, is going to cost you. Can I have a list of items that
Yes, there's
that were
pictures,
destroyed?
estimates.
Thank you. Good.
And, Your Honor, I also wanted to state when I filed this complaint, I made it for $5,000, but I didn't exactly total it up. It doesn't quite come up to $5,000, and I put the price difference that I came up with.
Well, what is it?
$3,939.52, I believe.
Is that what all of these things cost you?
Actually, I took estimates only because the places where I bought this furniture either are not in business anymore, so I got the closest estimate to my furniture that I had.
Well, was this almost $4,000 more expensive or less expensive than what you actually paid for the furniture?
That is about the approximate price range of
Not
furniture.
price range. I want to know what you actually paid for the furniture.
To be exact?
Yeah, to be exact.
About $3,200,
Because I have the bills here.
$3,200, but there's something else included into that that I did not buy. That's the garage door that he broke.
Well, you didn't have a garage.
Where I was staying the night that he destroyed my
You
furniture.
mean at Schwartz's house?
Correct.
Let Schwartz sue him, unless you paid Schwartz for the garage door.
Well, actually, I'm going to have to pay for it.
No, you won't. You don't have to pay for it because he broke it. Let Schwartz sue him. How much was the garage door?
$620.
Okay, so we're down to $3,200. You just bought this furniture, looks like.
Well, it's on hold.
What do you mean it's on hold?
It's an estimate. They wouldn't.
Miss Tracy.
Yes?
How old was the furniture that was there?
Less than 2 years old, and it was brand new. I kept it in perfect condition. That furniture was, I mean, I cherished that. And I took very good care. It was immaculate. It was brand new. There was nothing wrong with anything.
All right, now let me take a look at this furniture, what it looks like. There are two sofas. Did you throw both sofas out?
No.
Where's the other
There was
one?
nothing wrong with the other sofa. She moved it out later on. There's nothing wrong with it.
Your Honor,
Was
he
there anything wrong with
urinated on it. He slashed it up, but he didn't throw it over his balcony because it was too big.
No, that is absolutely not true.
Let's not talk about slashing it. Did you do anything else to it?
No, that is not true. I did not urinate on her couch.
Well, that's
Did you let anybody else do it?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He does not have any ambition in life except to sit on the couch and drink beer and watch the football game.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Kathy Tracy is in court with her ex-boyfriend, Steve Jackson, because she claims he destroyed her property in a jealous rage.
Mr. Jackson, you slash up her mattress?
No.
No?
I did not.
It's all slashed.
I didn't slash her mattress. What I did was destroyed the dining room table, the chairs, the lamp, and the couch.
That is not true.
Well, who destroyed this?
I don't know. She's had the furniture ever since July, the middle of July.
Well,
and then 1 month later, she comes in and...
Miss Tracy?
Yes.
When did you get the mattress back?
I got the mattress back when I moved all the furniture. The night was July 17th, is when he destroyed all of my furniture at approximately 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right, okay.
I picked up my furniture that day, that afternoon. He let me come and recover the damaged
Are you
property.
telling me that you took out this damaged mattress?
Yes.
Why did you take out the damaged mattress?
To use it as evidence, because I was obviously going to take him to court over this.
Who helped move out the furniture?
I had 2 movers helping me.
Show this to him, please. Did you, Mr. Jackson, I want you to look at that very carefully, sir.
No, I did not do that. That's not my place. She's had the mattresses ever since the middle of July and not touched that. Now I can turn to the pictures of the couch and the table. Can I look through this?
The couch isn't in there.
I see a picture of a garage door opener.
I'm not interested in the
A
garage door
mattress.
opener. That's
well,
another
I
lawsuit.
don't see how she can justify $3,200.
Just a second. I asked you about the mattress. Did you do that to the mattress?
No, I didn't. I did not touch her mattress.
This keeps getting better.
Who are you?
I'm Danielle Crockett.
How do you know her?
I've been her best friend for about 4 years.
Best friend, did you see the furniture when it came back to her house after she moved it out? Did you? Who are you?
I'm Nicole Halterman. Not that day. Actually, I had gone to Steve's house that night because I'm friends with his roommate, Vanessa. And I saw the furniture damaged.
Did you see the mattress?
Not the mattress, but everything else.
She'd already taken the mattress out of the house.
She took the mattress and the couches, but she left the table because it was in too many pieces to take. The patio furniture was in too many pieces to take, and the lamps. I saw those in his backyard. Looked like they had been thrown over the balcony.
Okay, but the mattress she had taken, she didn't take any of the property that was destroyed, is that
well,
right?
the table was in, like, toothpicks.
Just answer my question.
Okay.
She didn't take any of the property that was destroyed. She left all the badly damaged property there. Is that what you're saying to me?
She took, like, the VCR and the mattresses, all the other stuff that was destroyed.
Just a second. Did you see her take the mattress out?
No, because I was at work when she did that.
So you don't know whether the mattress was destroyed or not?
Well, Steve had admitted to me that he had destroyed it.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
That night when I was at his house, he said that he felt really bad that he did it.
Did what?
Destroyed the couches, the mattresses, the table.
He said the mattresses?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes. He mentioned the mattresses, the table, he mentioned everything.
Okay. Good.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Mr. Jackson, when you have a fit of temper, you have to pay. Understand? I assume that that's the comforter. Is that what that's doing here?
Yes. Would you like to see
All
it?
right. I just assumed that that's what it
Your
was.
Honor.
Not part of the new decor in the courtroom. When you have a fit of temper, you have to pay. And your story is a lot of who shot John with regard to her giving you the furniture that she gave you because she didn't want to look at it anymore because it had an emotional attachment to Mr. Schwartz. So it's going to cost you. It's not going to cost you in this lawsuit the garage door, because I don't want to hear about that. If you damaged Mr. Schwartz's garage door, he'll take that up with you at some other time. Ms. Tracy, I am awarding you $3,000 to replace the furniture. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Thank you, Your
Parties
Honor.
are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
He's an alcoholic. He's mentally and physically abusive. He does not have any ambition in life except to sit on the couch and drink beer and watch the football game. And it wasn't going anywhere. I have ambitions and goals, and we just don't meet. I am glad that I will never have to see him again. Thank you.
On Paré versus Smith. Step forward, please.
Jacques and Nicole Perret claim 20-year-old Christine Smith changed her mind after agreeing to their adoption of her baby. They are suing Christine for money given during her pregnancy.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 181 on the calendar in the matter of Paré versus Smith. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. Paré, you were attempting to adopt a child. Went through, I assume, since I'm familiar with these adoption proceedings, went through some agencies and finally decided you would go to a lawyer. And the lawyer told you what you're supposed to do, and ultimately you found the defendant who was pregnant.
That's correct.
Yes. And you agreed that you were not in a position to raise a child, another child at the time, and you agreed to allow the Pares to adopt your unborn child. Is that right?
Yes.
And you needed some financial assistance?
Yes, which I started receiving in my 3rd month.
From them?
No, from their attorney.
But the money came from them?
Right, they paid the attorney at the end, yes.
And how much money did you receive?
I received roughly $3,000.
Well, we have documents indicating differently.
I'm not certain. Don't have an exact amount.
How much money did she receive?
She received approximately $3,400, and then there's another $1,000 fee that was owed.
For the lawyers.
From the lawyer.
Which lawyer? Your lawyer?
Our intermediary.
For our lawyer, right.
So it was a total of $4,400?
That's correct.
Yes.
That you had out of pocket?
Basically, including the trip down there and all the money that I...
But the money that was, in fact, turned over to the defendant was $3,400?
That's correct.
And then the baby was born, boy or a girl?
Boy.
And the defendant changed her mind?
Yes, she did.
When did she change her mind?
I believe it was Monday, May 11th, but I got down there on the 8th of May and arrived at the hospital, and she told me that there was a problem and that we needed to talk. And basically she stated that the hospital said that all of our documents weren't there. I was coming from out of state. And that she wasn't real comfortable with the child going home with a nurse. And she said because the
child would have to go home with a nurse if all your documents weren't in place.
Correct. And so we claimed that we were going to take care of everything on Monday. My lawyer and I had a court date set to go and get preliminary adoption papers set up. And I called Miss Christine and told her that if she could please meet us at the courthouse Monday and we could get everything finalized. And I never heard from her. And
by that time you had changed your mind?
Yes.
What caused you to change your mind?
Having my son for the 4 days. I thought that right after Nicole arrived, I wasn't filled in on everything, I guess.
But she told me while we were there at the hospital that she had already relinquished her rights. But at that point, I was a little bit hysterical and didn't really realize what she had said. And the hospital let her take the child home anyways. And when I met with my lawyer that Sunday night, she showed me all the paperwork that she had already relinquished the child and that the hospital basically gave the child to her and that they weren't supposed to. So, and she knew that, and she knew that she wasn't supposed to take the child with her.
How long had you been trying to have a baby?
My husband and I have been together 12 years.
And this was going to be your first child?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Well, Miss Smith, do you feel as if you're responsible for returning the $3,400 to them?
Yes, I do. But let me re-put that. I know they need their money back and that they should get it. But as far as me giving it to them, I just feel that the circumstances for the adoption, things didn't happen the way that they should have.
Yeah, but you signed a document.
Right, I did.
You have other children?
Yes, I have a daughter.
How old is your daughter?
She's 3 almost.
Are you together with the father of these children?
Yes.
And he's the father of both children?
No.
He's just the father of?
Jaciana.
Of your daughter? Is that right?
Yes.
Was there a separation from him for a period of time?
2 months.
2 months. And it was during that time that you became pregnant with this child?
Yes.
Someone else named as the father of this child?
Yes.
And I have the documents to show that as well.
How does your husband treat this? You married to this man?
No, not yet. He treats him as if he is his own.
Does that mean that he supports him?
Yes.
Does he work?
Yes.
Do you work?
No, not currently.
But he works?
Yes.
And he wants to maintain this family?
Yes.
Well, he's going to have to return this money. And if you've decided to stay home with your children, that's fine. But I can't compensate them for their heartbreak, and you know that you can't either. but it's probably better that it turned out this way
Yes,
at the
it is.
beginning rather than going through something 6 months down the pike after this little baby boy was
I
home
know
with
that.
you, right?
Yes. I know that.
Have you had any success with finding another baby?
Yes, we did.
You did?
Yes, we
Yes,
did.
we have. Oh, that's wonderful. When?
About 25 days after all this occurred, our lawyer contacted us and said that there was a 6-month-old child that was available for adoption.
Boy or girl?
Little boy.
Boy.
So we got a little boy. So we're really happy. He's a great little boy. It's a good boy. It's a really good boy.
Well, that is wonderful. So
Thank
that
you.
eases
a little bit, but I went through a lot of heartache. I tried to drive home, and I couldn't drive home, and I mean, it took me 5 days to get back to where I live, and it was very difficult.
Well, when a door is closed someplace, a window is open someplace else.
Yes. Mhm.
And this was a nice window.
Thank God.
Right? And you've got a 6-month-old little baby that probably slept through the night right away.
That's right,
Yes, he did.
Right?
Yes, he did.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And later today,
So at this marina, they have shower facilities, some for boys and some for girls.
That's correct.
And while you were lathering up and washing off,
When I get out to get my towel, there's a little girl standing there.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christine Smith did not give up her baby as promised to Jacques and Nicole Perret. The Perrets are suing Christine for the money they gave her during her pregnancy.
all right, Miss Smith, you know that they have to be compensated for the money that they gave you. It's not fair, it's not moral, and it's not right or just for them not to be compensated for the money you received. With regard to your attorney's fees, you spent $1,000 for your lawyer. I have a feeling that these people don't have a whole lot of money.
Oh.
So I'm awarding you $3,400, which is the money that was furnished to Miss Smith during the time that she was confined and unable to work and take care of herself, much less her pregnancy. I'm really thrilled that you have a new baby home. I know that that makes appearing in court today much easier for you.
A little bit, yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
And Miss Smith, I wish you well with your new family.
Thank you.
You know, I would assume that this kind of thing is never going to happen again.
I hope not.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's a great boy. He's wonderful. He's been light in our hearts, that's for sure.
I'm just very happy for Nicole and Jacques. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
He's beautiful.
Thank you.
And now the next case.
All parties on Kinder versus Pearson. Step forward, please.
Rental car company owner Jim Kinder claims electrician Bruce Pearson wrongly reported him to the police for endangering his children.
Mr. Kinder,
Ma'am.
I gather from your complaint that there was a time that you and your wife were briefly separated.
That's correct, in 1995.
And during that time, you were enjoying visitation with your children.
That's correct. I had them every other weekend.
These are your kids?
Yes, they are.
And at that time, you were living on a boat.
27-foot Coronado.
And there were no shower facilities on the boat for the kids. But
Or for me either. They were up in the marina office.
well, you weren't the problem.
Right.
It was the two little girls that were a problem. So at this marina, they have shower facilities, some for boys and some for girls.
That's correct.
But at the time, the two little girls were too young to go into shower facilities by themselves, and you figured it might be a problem if you went into the ladies' shower with them.
I definitely did.
Wise thinking on your part. So you decided to take them into the men's shower.
All three of the kids at the same time.
Then there came a time, sir, when you, who also have a boat at this marina,
Right.
you needed a shower.
Yeah. I'd gotten home from work late, went up to shower.
So you went into the boys' shower room.
Right.
And while you were lathering up and washing off, you saw a little girl
Right.
who didn't have any clothes on,
Right.
and you didn't have any clothes on.
Exactly.
And at that time, you didn't see him in the shower room.
Saw him leave the shower room. There's only 2 stalls. And that he left the little girl in one shower. I assumed it was a little boy. And that he went outside and he said, "I'll see you outside." I hopped in the other shower. When I get out to get my towel, there's a little girl standing there. So, you know, I closed the shower door, got back in, toweled off, and they were gone.
And when did this happen, sir?
Last August of '97.
So what you did after you saw this was go to the harbor master.
Right. Our dock master described Jim Kinder, just described the person, because I'd never met him before that. So
And the harbor master gave you a name?
Yeah.
His name?
Right.
And then what did you do?
Went over to the harbor police and made a report.
What kind of a report did you make, sir?
I just told them exactly what happened, you know, and I figured they'd follow up on it, and I assumed they did.
So you tell me what happened as a result of this report that Mr. Pearson filed. Because that's what your lawsuit is about, for falsely reporting this incident. Is that right?
Well, it would be more accurate to say it was either, I think it was with reckless abandon, because we had
But that's what your lawsuit is about.
Right.
What happened as a result of this report?
Right.
Okay.
What happened is that I got a phone call from some friends of mine who were staying on the boat, a married couple, and they said the police had come down looking for me, indicating that there was a matter involving sexual neglect of my children. I called the police immediately. This was on a Saturday morning, about 11 o'clock. And the police said, "What is the story with this? We've had this information." I said, "My kids have not been down to the boat with me since March of 1996, when my wife and I reconciled. And after the 11 months I was on the boat, I had enjoyed all of the boat I could stand for a while. So we hadn't been down there in a long, long time." Nevertheless, the police said, "Well, you know, you have to come down right away and bring the kids." And I mean, as a parent, you just have no idea what goes through your mind.
So you started to get a little nervous.
Well, I was both nervous and I was furious. I was shaking. I was so mad. So I took the kids down, and in the car, I told them, just, you know, answer whatever the questions the police ask you, and just tell the truth. So we got there, and the police wanted to separate us and take the kids in a private room, and I would not allow that. But I told the police they could ask whatever questions they wanted to in my presence. And so the police asked the kids how long it had been since they were on the boat, and you know, the kids told them it had been to the summer before or longer. And they asked me, and I said, "We haven't been down there in a long, long time, since March of '96. And that was basically...
And then what happened?
Then they said we could go.
And did you go?
Yes.
Did anything else happen as a result of this, sir?
Well, no. I mean, no, not really. I didn't, I mean, my wife was upset. The kids are very resilient. It was like, you know, it wasn't that big a deal to them. But I was really upset, very upset.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
He saw this little girl. She was naked, he was naked. You never know what kind of perverts you're going to meet in the men's bathroom.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Jim Kinder says Bruce Pearson did the wrong thing when he reported him for leaving his young child alone in the men's shower. Bruce says he was shocked.
Now, what makes you think, Mr. Kinder, that the defendant acted recklessly with regard to his complaint? Now, first of all, let me ask you this. You didn't know each other from before?
I wouldn't have recognized him if I'd seen him outside here today.
Okay. Had you ever seen the plaintiff before you claim that you saw him on that day?
No.
So there's nothing in your history that suggests that this was done out of any evil will?
I think that's a fair statement.
So you think it was done recklessly?
Very recklessly.
Well, then let's explore the issue of recklessness for a moment, because that is the gravamen of your complaint.
It is.
That is the crux of your complaint.
It is.
That his conduct was reckless. So what did he do? He saw this little girl in the men's shower. She was naked, he was naked. And he felt as if it was irresponsible for whoever's little girl it was to have been left there by a guardian, custodian, parent in the men's bathroom, because you never know what kind of perverts you're going to meet in the men's bathroom. I'm not talking about you, Mr. Kinsey. You understand that? But you never know. So you would agree with me, Mr. Kinder, that somebody who would leave a child unattended, a little girl unattended, in a men's shower facility without forewarning anybody that there was a little girl there, please cover up, could we have 5 minutes, was acting irresponsibly. You would agree with that?
I think I would really like to know a few more of the facts, but essentially I think that would be reckless, yes.
You think it would be reckless. So we've accomplished that. Now, he saw a little girl in there. So what did he do? He didn't know who the person was, right?
Right.
So you went to speak to someone who was in charge.
Exactly.
And you described the person who you saw.
Right.
And for the purposes of this proceeding, although I'm not taking it for the truth of the statement, because that would be hearsay, the harbor master, or the, what do they call it?
The dock master.
Dock master.
Yeah.
Gave you the plaintiff's name.
Yeah, he told me, he goes, Kinder doing that again.
And he gave you his whole name.
Yeah.
But you had never seen him there.
Never.
Which seems to support his statement that he didn't spend time at the boat for a long time. Right?
Right.
Okay. But the boatmaster gave your name, sir.
Because I had all 3 kids in the men's room in 1995, 2 years before, 2 years and 3 months before.
But Mr. Kinder, we're talking about your allegation of recklessness. He did what was responsible. I think it would have been a tragedy if he did nothing. Too many people close their eyes to people acting irresponsibly with children.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Okay. So, assuming that he acted perhaps negligently, not recklessly, but negligently then in making the call, we would even get to the issue of damages here. Now, according to you, kids are pretty resilient. You took the kids down, they asked a few questions, and the matter was over. So you had a period of a day or two when you were both nervous and angry.
It wasn't pretty to see my wife crying about it.
Well, that's not pretty. But she looks as if she got over it. It's the children that would concern me. And according to you, the children, they bounced back. They were asked a couple of questions, and nothing came of it.
That's correct.
Wasn't reported to Child Protective Services. You weren't listed in the State Central Registry of Child Abuse and Neglect Perpetrators, right?
As far as I know.
It was over, right?
Right.
So's this case. Go home, take your gorgeous family home, sir. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
On Smith versus Cornell. Step forward, please.
Curtis Dean Smith says she loaned her ex-fiancé, Albert Johnson, her car. While Albert was driving, his new fiancée, Sharitha Cornell, smashed into it, but she denies it.
Order. All rise. Quiet, please. Your Honor, it's number 147 on the calendar in the matter of Smith versus Cornell. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
Are you Albert?
Ma'am.
Didn't you know you were coming to court today?
Yes, ma'am.
So what are you wearing shorts for?
I thought it was, I'm saying it was gonna be nice.
All right, Miss Smith.
Yes.
Albert over here, the one in the shorts, is the father of your daughter.
Yes.
And you're engaged to him now.
Right.
According to your complaint, you lent Albert your car.
Yes, I did.
And she hit your car.
Yes, she did.
You weren't in the car.
No.
She was in the car.
In her car.
And you were driving.
Yes, ma'am.
Objection.
because she, I want to make a point that I have the statements from the officer that she gave her complaint to. She said that she was in the car, she was driving when this happened.
Okay, but she wasn't.
And she was not. And she was not in the car.
Albert!
Uh-huh.
Stand up here. You want to stand on that side? Shh.
Order.
Tell me what happened when you borrowed her car.
I bought a car, then I had St. Cornell on Grand. So I had got out the car, I had parked her car in the front of her car.
You parked her car in front of her car.
Right. Then I had just put her car in reverse and backed up into her car.
Just a minute.
Why are you lying?
Shut. Miss Smith, I don't want you to say anything. I'm in charge here. Let me be in charge. I like being in charge. Get up here, Albert. Right up here. Shh. You borrowed her car. You saw her driving in her car. So far, am I right?
Yes.
Was her car parked or moving when you saw it?
Parked.
Was she in it?
No. She was in the store.
So what did you do?
I had one of my friends that told me they had seen her in her car. Then it was another guy driving that car. So I helped her buy the car that...
Don't tell me what your friend told me. You were annoyed.
Right. And I bagged up into her car, with her car.
So you're telling me her car was parked?
Yes.
Your fiancé?
Yes.
And you pulled in front of the car, pulled into a parking space, and backed into it?
Yes.
That was pretty stupid. Wasn't it?
Yes.
Why would you do such a stupid thing?
Because I was mad because it was another guy driving her car.
Mm-hmm. Are you back together again now?
No, we together.
With her?
Yes.
You with the defendant, Miss Cornell?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I gather you straightened it all out.
Mm-hmm.
That is a yes or a no?
Yes.
Uh-huh. How many times did you back her car into her car?
About twice.
Did you cause some damage to her car?
Yes.
How much damage?
I don't know how much damage was.
What do you do for a living?
I do the odds and ends.
What kind of odds and ends?
Paint, cut grass.
For cash?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Just you stay right there. What kind of car do you have?
A 92 Chevy Cavalier.
And you?
A 90 Chevy Cavalier.
Did you have your car fixed?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Now, Miss Smith, do you have any objection to my adding Albert here as a co-defendant in your lawsuit?
No.
You know what that means?
No.
That means that I'm adding you as a co-defendant in this lawsuit, sir. That means that since you have just acknowledged to me that you caused the damage to the car, right?
Yes.
You should pay for it. Why are you looking at me with that blank stare, sir? What words didn't you understand that I said? You understand what I'm talking about? Hmm? Yeah. Because, Miss Smith, quite frankly, since they're back together again, I'm not going to get the truth out of him.
That's right.
Probably won't get the truth out of her.
Sure won't.
Because she was in the store.
I have a police report that she gave, since you won't get the truth out of me. She gave to the police an hour and something later after the accident, her lie, since you can't get the truth out of me.
Miss Cornell, You don't understand, madam. Something is not getting through in your head. She wasn't in the car.
She
either.
said she was.
But you know she wasn't.
Okay, but she said she was.
What does that have to do with the damage to her car?
It has a lot to do with it. It has a whole lot to do with it. At the time of the accident, they were engaged. This was his fiance at the time of the accident. They had been broken up for 9 years prior
Just
to
do me a favor.
that.
Could you be quiet?
Yes, I can.
Good.
Y'all surely can.
Step down over there next to
I
your
surely
fiance.
can be quiet.
All
I
right.
surely can.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You want to change the story? Huh? It's not an answer. Hey, quiet.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Curtis Dean Smith says she loaned her ex-fiancé, Albert Johnson, her car. While Albert was driving, his new fiancée, Sharitha Cornell, smashed into it.
Can I see the estimate for the car, please?
Okay. Got it all.
The estimate for the car is $1,562. Is that right?
That's without it being painted. That's just to pull the dent out the trunk and the side and fix the bumper.
It ain't even no dent in her trunk.
Have you been in my trunk?
It's not even a dent.
Have you been in my trunk?
Shh. What's all this other stuff here?
That's to fix the car and to paint it.
You have insurance on this car?
Yes, I do.
How much did you get from your insurance for this?
At the present moment, when the car was hit, there wasn't any insurance on the car.
What? Excuse me?
Yes. I had dropped the insurance 2 months before the accident happened.
I see. So the insurance doesn't become effective until the 16th of May, and this accident occurred on May 4th. Is that right?
That's right.
And you had no insurance on the car prior to this?
That's right.
Okay. Albert! You better do a lot more odd jobs, sir, because you owe her for the damage that was done to her car. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Good. Now, Miss Cornell, you have a counterclaim. For what?
Because she lied and told the police that I hit her car while she was driving the car and he was in the car. The officer contacted me and told me what she had said. Told me that I would be arrested for first-degree assault because there was assault on her and she was pressing charges. Of course, I got very angry. I got stressed out. I had to be hospitalized due to that. You know, her lying. You know, and me finding out that I was going to have to go to jail. I also was jailed. I had to pay for someone to keep my children due to her lies.
Just a second. You were jailed when, madam?
I was jailed on the 20th of May.
Let me see the papers to prove that.
And then right after that, 3 days later, she called me looking for Albert because he supposedly ran off with her car again.
What does
and
that have
she
to do
had
with
him
this?
locked up. She
What
had
does
him
that have
locked
to
up
do
for
with
running
this?
off in her car. I'm not
Listen,
talking to you
listen.
because you're
to
not
you.
the
Hey,
judge.
I
Excuse
can't
me,
listen.
Judge
I
Judy,
can't listen.
I apologize.
I can't listen.
I apologize.
Just a second. Just
Your
a
Honor.
second. You told the police that you were in the car.
Yes, I did.
Why did you do that?
When Albert had called me and told me that Sharitha had hit my car, I told him to call the police. Albert said he had a warrant on him for his arrest, so I told him to bring me my car. We went down to the police station and made a report, and I said I was the driver. I also went back.
So you lied to the police?
Yes, I did.
Well, you were also asked by the police whether or not you wish to press charges against her.
And I said, yes, I did, because she hit my car.
But not only did she hit your car with you in it and then took off. Isn't that what you said?
Yes, that's what I said.
That caused her to be arrested. Do you know that?
Yes.
Hmm?
But I also went back to the police station, tried to change the report, and I couldn't locate the officer, so I talked to his supervisor, and he said just tell the judge that.
Well, by the time you got to tell the judge she had already been arrested. How long did you spend in jail?
A day, Your Honor, a whole night.
That was the wrong thing to do. You understand that?
Yes.
You're suing her for $1,250, is that right?
That is.
All right, not a difficult case. Albert, you are going to pay her, the plaintiff, $2,604, because that's what you said you caused in damage to her car. She doesn't have to pay for that if you're covering up for her, and if she actually hit the car and you're covering for her, then it's going to cost you $2,600. You understand me? You want to change the story? Huh?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I know you feel like crying.
State hospital, that's where she belongs.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
what? That's where you belong.
And later today,
Are you thick or what? There is a difference between your brother giving you a gift and a 17-year-old who you know has a crush on you.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Albert Johnson borrowed his ex-fiancée, Curtistine Smith's car. She says that while he was driving, his current fiancée, Sharitha Cornell, ran into it.
You want to change the story?
No. No.
Okay. On the other hand, madam, it's going to cost you $1,250 because that's what she's suing for. You filed a false report. You two folks together?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Well, then this makes it easy. You're only going to get $1,444 for your car. Do you understand that?
And why is that?
That's because I am deducting the $1,250.
Cool with me.
Cool with you?
Cool with me.
Perfect. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,444. I have deducted what you owe her for filing this false claim because this
Thank you,
lovely
Your
couple,
Honor.
this lovely couple is now together. I'm
That's
treating them as
right.
a couple.
And I'm going to send you an invitation to our wedding.
Party's ice cream. Step out, please.
Make sure I put that in my date book.
She don't need that money to fix her car. She need that money to buy her a man.
And now the next case.
Party's on Gibbs versus Edwards. Step forward, please.
17-year-old supermarket clerk Noelle Gibbs and her father Stanley Gibbs are suing 21-year-old Alex Edwards for the shoes she bought him. Alex says Noelle had a crush on him and the shoes were a gift.
Mr. Gibbs, why don't you tell me, sir, why you are suing this gentleman for $140.70?
Yes, Your Honor. My daughter is under the age of 18. She's 17 years old.
That's you.
Is Noelle. And so I originally filed a suit at litem as a guardian, being that she's underage. So the reason...
What is this for, sir?
The suit is for a pair of shoes that was purchased by my daughter from Sport Chalet in Valencia store for Mr. Edwards as a loan.
Why did you purchase a pair of shoes for him, Noelle?
He was hinting around that he needed a pair of shoes.
Where do you know him from?
He works at the store right next to where I work. I work at Thrifty's, he works at Vaughn's.
Are you friends?
Well, yeah,
No.
we were friends, yes, we were.
Shh.
Order.
He hinted around that he didn't have the money for the shoes and that he had them on hold at Sport Chalet. And I said, well, I could loan you the money, you know, and you could pay me back. And he said, first he said no, then the next day he goes, okay, and yes, he would. I can go get the shoes for him.
Is that what happened, sir?
No.
Well, let me hear what happened.
She's been harassing me she's had this high school crush for about 9 months. I made up every excuse in the world not to go out with her. She buys me some shoes. Right after she hands me the shoes, my witness is right here. She says, will you go out with me? I said, no. I said, I only have $4. Then she goes, I'll pay. I don't like her. I've never been her friend. I don't go by and see her. She comes by and sees me. I don't bother her.
Are those the shoes?
Yeah. Here.
Just a
No,
second.
they're not. Those are not the shoes.
Here.
Those are not the
No,
shoes?
they're not.
Hand them back.
Just a second. She bought your shoes.
These are the ones I got in the box.
Are they your size?
Yes.
How did she know your size?
I think she asked me, actually. Yeah.
Well, tell me the circumstances surrounding her asking you about your shoe size.
She's always asked me if I'd go out with her. She finally got her truck back from her dad. So I said, no, because I'm saving up for some shoes. She said, what if I buy you the shoes? Can we go out? I said, well, I'll think about it. So I did get the shoes. And I thought about it and I said no.
Just a minute. You still didn't tell me how she got your shoe size.
I didn't think she would get the shoes, so I said, yeah, I wear size 11 if you want to go get them. The ones I want are Sport Chalet.
Okay.
She comes to my job with the shoes.
Okay.
I really didn't think she would get it. I thought it was just like a joke. I didn't think she would really do it.
Okay.
And then,
Did you agree to pay her back for the shoes?
No.
He didn't agree to pay you back for the shoes.
Yes, he did.
Well, there's no question. He got the shoes. The only question is, were they a gift or were they a loan?
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Do you, sir, make it clear to me that you have no interest romantically in this young lady? Is that right?
I'm not her friend. I'm not nothing.
Just
I never
listen.
liked her, nothing.
Hey.
Okay,
Right?
yes.
By accepting a gift from her, assuming it was a gift, you are encouraging her. Do you understand that? Oh, yeah. What does that mean?
You know,
Do
that's
you
a conversation.
Hey. Do you understand that, Mr. Edwards?
Yes, okay.
And that's unfair. By accepting a gift, you did the wrong thing. Right?
I don't think so, not really. I mean,
then I'm going
if
to
my
have to...
brother gave me a gift, then, I mean, do I owe him also?
Excuse me? Who gave you a gift?
If my brother gives me a gift, I mean, I can't stop her from doing, I mean, I can stop that.
are you thick or what? Are you thick or what? There is a difference between your brother giving you a gift and a 17-year-old...
I've told her many
Hey, you're
times.
talking over me and I have a bad throat
Okay,
today.
go ahead. Sorry.
There's a difference between your brother giving you a gift and a 17-year-old who you know has a crush on you. You encouraged her, even by your own statement when you said to me, she told you, well, if I buy you the shoes, will you go out with me? That's what you told me,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And instead of you saying, absolutely not, you said, we'll see, maybe. Isn't that what you just told me, sir?
Yes, yes.
So you encouraged her. A, that's cruel. B, by taking a gift, you made it not only cruel, but there's a certain insensitivity there and greediness that I don't like. So you are going to pay her $140.70. You have the receipt for the
I do.
shoes? Is that what the bill was?
Yes. It's,
$140.70. Got it? Good. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
She was
I
trying
did
to
not
buy them.
ask
She
him
should
to
have
go
went and
out
got
with
a
me.
prostitute.
No,
If
I
she
did
won
not.
all that, she could have got
Excuse me?
herself a prostitute. If I buy you the shoes, will you go out with me?
I did
That's
not
what you said.
say
That's
that.
What, they put this kind of effort into a Stairmaster,
did
they would be
not.
fine.
Parties on Perez versus Perez. Step forward, please.
22-year-old Christina Perez is suing her husband's ex-wife, 31-year-old Diana Perez. Christina claims Diana assaulted her during an argument. Diana Perez says she was the one injured.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 246 on the calendar in the matter of Perez versus Perez. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat.
You are the present Mrs. Perez.
Yes, I am.
Mr. Perez, you are Mrs. Perez, the former wife of this gentleman.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, former Mrs. Perez assaulted you.
Yes, she did.
You want damages.
Yes.
She has a counterclaim. She claims that you assaulted her first. She wants similar damages.
No, Your Honor, I didn't do that, anything.
Well, this took place when you were returning the children. There are 2 children?
Yes, actually,
Three
there's
children. 3 children. To your home after a period of visitation.
Yes.
Is that so? Tell me what happened.
Well, we went to go drop off the boys.
How old are the children?
One's 10 and one's 7. We only had the 2 boys with us at the time. we went to go drop him off. It was late that night. My husband wanted to talk to her concerning one of the boys being sexually abused. He spoke with her, tried to work things out, talked to her. She started getting mad. She charged at him, started screaming back and forth at each other. I got in the middle because of the fact that the children were crying and screaming inside the home. I told my husband, let's go so it won't get out of hand, which she got mad. She struck me on my right side, and after that, my husband did hit her, and she landed inside her house.
Well, when you say she struck you, did she strike you with a fist, her open hand? How did
I didn't see when it was coming. I don't know how she hit me, but she hit me.
Did you have any injuries?
Yes, I did.
What were your injuries?
My jaw shifted. She hit me on the right side, which it shifted my lower jaw to over here, which now I have a torn joint in my jaw, which I have doctor proofs in here. And he did make a little notation on here, what I sustained from it.
How long have you been married to your husband?
I've been with him for 4 years, 3-4 years.
And how long have you been divorced?
4 years.
What was this discussion about one of the children being sexually abused?
During the weekend we had them, their son told us what was going on. My husband called the health and welfare, called the police department, tried to get something done. They said they couldn't do anything about it unless the child was endangered over there, which when we got to their residence, the other child was there at the time, and my husband...
You mean there was some allegation, according to you, that there was another child in the defendant's residence who had been sexually abusing
their children.
Their children. Both boys or just one? And you wanted to talk to her about it?
Yes. Yeah, because this had happened before, like about 2 years before.
Step up here.
Yes, because this had happened before, like about 2 years before. I brought it to her attention, and then she didn't let me see the kids for about a year.
That's absolutely untrue.
She said that I guess they had taken care of it. I called the health and welfare and everything. They never got back to me. And that's why this ended up like this.
Well, why did you pick this particular time to speak to her? When you took the children back?
It's the only time when I drop them off, when there's a chance to talk to her, because I really don't talk to her. Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's very unfortunate that the two of you can't talk. Did you put your hands on her that evening?
After
is not an answer. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I did. I hit her.
Why did you hit her?
Because she started charging at me, telling me all this. She took out the little boy that has been sexually abusing my boy. He's like about 5-6 years older, and she made him confront him. She put them both in front of each other. My little boy, he was shaking. He was scared because he was gonna get beat up by this little boy. And it's still gonna happen. And he was scared, and she started screaming like, "What?" After she hit my wife, she said, "What, are you gonna hit him?" And I said, "No, I'm gonna hit you." And that's what happened. I did. I struck her.
How many times?
I don't remember. All I remember is I lost it. It must have been like 3-4 times.
Were you arrested?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
He has been charged.
And my wife even pulled me off of her because she didn't want that to happen, but still did.
She did not touch her, Your Honor.
Shh. How old is this other little boy that's in the house, and how is he related to your former wife?
He's her nephew. Yeah.
How old is he?
He's like about 13, 14.
He's
my little
11.
boy's like 7.
He's 11 years old.
It's 11?
Yes.
Okay, let me come to you. I'd like you to tell me your version of the events of that evening.
Your Honor, can I have the girl stepped out for a minute? I mean, there's some sections here that I would rather them not hear.
Are these your daughters?
This is my daughter, and this is her friend.
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Step out.
Just for a minute, and because there's some issues that before, and it involves one of my daughters, and I would rather her not be present when I talk about it. I divorced Mr. Perez because of violence.
Domestic violence?
Yes. During the divorce, because it was really hectic for my children, I took them to counseling. And in one of the counseling sessions, my daughter revealed to the counselor that she was being molested by her grandfather, paternal grandfather.
Paternal?
Yes.
Grandfather.
That was reported to the police, and
that's actually...
and whatnot. Mr. Perez, in turn, countered that and started saying, at this time, my nephew was 7 years old, my son was 6, and my other son was 4. In order to get back at me, he started saying that my 7-year-old was molesting my my 6 and my 4-year-old. They called child services. We took all the children in for interviewing. And it was determined that the kids were playing. You show me yours, you show me mine. It was that kind of relationship that, at that time. Now, my child, they come to my house that day and saying that my child had told her child, made a comment to her child. I talked to my little boy about this, and we have taken him to counseling also regarding this.
Why did you take him to counseling?
Because they've been so traumatized by all this. You have to understand, Your Honor, these people have been torturing me for 4 years. I mean, between taking me to court, I have been to court about 20 times since I divorced. For protection orders, for getting beaten up, for modification of child support, for everything.
Okay.
Anyway, we were at the house that day. I didn't have any milk, so I had to run to the store. I left my daughter and Veronica in charge. They were there. They came and dropped off the boys, and I wasn't home. I was at the store getting milk, and then I wasn't home. So they called the police on me again, because they called the police on me for everything, saying that the kids were unattended.
So let me understand this. You dropped the children off, and then you called the police.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They didn't ask to be born. You made them. And your primary responsibility is supposed to see to it that they have happy childhoods.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Diana Perez is being sued by her ex-husband's new wife, 22-year-old Christina Perez. Christina charges that Diana hit her in the jaw, causing serious injury. But Diana says she was only defending herself.
You dropped the children off, and then you called the police.
No, we didn't drop the children off at that time with the girls. My husband wanted to talk to her regarding their children.
So you kept the children in the car?
Yes, we went to a police department.
Mr. Perez, so you didn't drop the children off?
No.
You put the children back in the car, or they remained in the car?
Yes.
And you drove directly to the police station? Yes. And what did you tell the police?
I just told them that she's not there, because she always does this. I'm supposed to drop them off at 7. It was
Just
already
a
like
second.
12 o'clock.
Just a second. What did you tell the police? I didn't ask you a whole history.
Okay, I just told them that basically that's it, that I went to drop them off. I already went like about 4 times. She's not there. And in the divorce decree, it says that I should drop them off at 7, pick them up at 7, and drop them off at 7. That's what it was all about.
How old are these 2 girls?
I think my daughter's 13. I don't know about the other one. I don't even know who she is.
Your daughter is 13?
12.
Or 12, going to 13.
And your 2 sons that you were dropping off?
That time he was 6, and the other one's like 9.
9 and 6?
Yes.
Why couldn't their sister watch them?
I could have left her off, but I wanted to talk to her.
You could have left them off?
Yes.
Now, you drove back at 10, and you say she wasn't home at 10. Did you go back to the police again?
No, we called them up.
Called
from our
who?
home, the police department from our home, to let them know that she wasn't home yet and what was going on. We let them know, and they told us we would have to get a hold of the health and welfare.
Just a second. At 10 o'clock, the girls were home.
Yes.
So why didn't you bring the children home instead of calling the police?
Because he wanted to talk to Diana concerning the boys.
It wasn't urgent to talk to her that night. Certainly not urgent enough to call the police. You folks, I don't know about what's happening on her side, the history of what's going on there, but you people are not behaving like responsible parents. You're behaving like vindictive babies. And you're putting your children in the middle, because whenever you bring the police into something, you put the children in the middle. Ridiculous.
Excuse me, Your Honor. The only reason I bring the police into it because there's been a lot of occasions where I get busy or something, and she calls the police department.
That's
and
terrible.
They want to pick me up.
Just a second. You mean you get busy and don't bring the children home on time?
More like I only see him like sometimes she doesn't really let me see him for 3 or 4 months.
Mr.
So when
Perez.
I do see him, I try to take him out, go do something. with
Mr. Perez, I'm hearing a lot of excuses from this end. Now, I don't agree with using children custodial parents, if they happen to be mothers using the children. I just don't like the vibes that I'm getting over here, sir. Something in my common sense and my training suggests to me that there's a lot more here than I'm going to have time to hear today. How much child support do you pay?
$360 a month.
When was the last time you went back to have that modified?
I'm supposed to be in court tomorrow.
For what?
Modification on it.
Whose modification?
Mine, I guess, yeah.
What do you mean you guess?
Yeah, well, it's mine.
It's your petition to modify downward the order of support?
Yes.
From $360 a month?
Yes.
For 3 children?
Yes.
Why?
Because where I used to work before, I used to make a lot more money, and they closed the plant. I'm out of that job, so I ended up, to be able to pay the child support, I could have got unemployment, but I figured, no, I got to pay my child support, so I went and got another job. It went like 2.5 less an hour, so that's why I'm getting the modification.
How many times have you gone for a modification? Mr. Perez, how many modification petitions have you filed in the last 4 years?
This is it.
This is the second one.
4. Okay. Now, I would like to see the initial police report from you, Mrs. Perez. Can I see it, please? What was the date of this incident, by the way?
The ended up being on the 25th, because it was late that night, so they did 24th, 25th.
Okay. Now let me see the medical bill, please.
These are...
Were you arrested that night, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I knew I did wrong, so I just went and turned myself in.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And
This is what I looked like after I got beat up by him.
It would have been worse, Diana. He could have killed you there.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gabriel Perez's current wife, Christina Perez, is suing Gabriel's ex-wife, Diana Perez, claiming Diana assaulted her during an argument. Diana says her ex-husband injured her.
You didn't go to see a doctor until 2 days after this incident. Mrs. Perez, is that right?
I went right the next day, Your Honor.
No. 2 days later. This happened on the 24th. You went and just
Actually, it was the 25th, late that night. And the police officer did neglect me medical attention, so I had to go on my own.
He neglected?
Yes, he did.
Did you go to the doctor before or after your husband was arrested for assault?
I went after.
Yeah, I got it. Now, I understand it. You don't get $5,000 for a slap. I don't see anything here about injuries, madam. And I don't know why you got in between these 2 people. I have no idea. You had no business being there. You had no business getting in between these 2 people. Now, you, with regard to your counterclaim, are suing the wrong person.
Pardon me?
You're suing the wrong person.
Oh.
He's the one you should be suing.
I know.
He was the one who injured you. And according to the police reports here, you were pretty severely beaten. He sort of acknowledges that he severely beat you. He lost it. I assume that it's not the first time he lost it.
No.
Yes, it was.
Baloney.
Never hit her before.
Well, then maybe the other times that you hit her,
I've
you
never
hit her on
before.
purpose.
I've never hit her before.
You 2 people present a very sad commentary on what happens when people separate. You are remarried, you have a new wife. You have any new children with your new wife?
Yes, I do.
How many children?
2.
2. Do you work?
Yes, I do.
So you work inside the house or outside
Inside the house.
In the house. What do you do?
I have a child daycare, which I am licensed to have one.
Fine.
I
Well,
went to
that's
school
good.
for it.
That's good. All right, because I assume you know he has prior financial obligations to the 3 children that he had before
Yes,
he
Your
made
Honor,
more
I've
children.
been divorced before. I know how it goes. I was dealing with her before with the child custody of the kids so they could visit their father. I would talk for both of them.
Well, that's a big
Yes,
mistake.
it is a big mistake.
Big
but I
mistake.
tried to get them to do
especially
it.
when, Mrs. Perez, it's a big mistake, especially when a portion of your husband's salary is going to support his other 3 children. And there's not a lot of money to go around, so that makes you a little bit irritated.
I know he has obligations, which
Well-
is okay with me, because $360 a month is not even hardly enough to support
It
the
sure
children.
isn't, especially when he's going to have it reduced. $360 for 3 children a month doesn't keep a cocker spaniel in puppy chow. Certainly not 3 growing children. So, I don't believe she injured you, madam. I don't believe that this slap, which you refer to as a slap, caused you any injury whatsoever. Let me tell you what I think.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
What I think is that you got very nervous when your husband lost it and was arrested for assaulting her, because he assaulted her and you know he injured her.
Yes, I
because,
know that's right.
Because,
I tried to prevent
according
it.
to these reports, there was blood all over the place. According to the reports by the police, there was blood all over the place. So then I believe that you and your husband came up with this story to try to soften it a little bit, that she was the one who instigated the whole thing by assaulting you. Now, you were not denied assistance by the police. There were no visible signs of any injury on you when the police arrived. None whatsoever. Your case is dismissed. You, on the other hand, madam, are suing the wrong person civilly. He's the one you ought to be suing. I suggest that you do it so that you can get damages from him, so the next time he loses his temper, he'll know what's going to cost him.
Yes, ma'am.
As far as your children are concerned, you got to do the right thing with regard to your children. If he has a legitimate concern with regard to what's going on in your house with a now 12 or 13-year-old, you have to take that very seriously.
Yes, I do.
And you have to stop thinking that it's just in retaliation. If it's true that when he confronted you with this allegation, you put both boys together, very bad thing to do. You have to be protective of your own child.
Yes, definitely.
And make sure that this is not going on in your home, because very often parents are the last to know.
Definitely.
You have to stop abusing the system, sir. Abusing the police system, abusing the child welfare system, in order to gain an upper hand in whatever kind of proceedings you have, whether they be support proceedings, whether they be visitation proceedings, whether they be custody proceedings. And the two of you have to recognize that together you made 3 children. The 3 children are the innocents. They didn't ask to be born. You made them. And your primary responsibility is supposed to see to it that they have happy childhoods. And right now, you're not doing that. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I mean,
This is what I look like after I got beat up by him.
It would have been worse, Diana. He could have killed you there, but I took him off of you.
You didn't do anything, Christy.
Yes, I did. He's a great husband. I mean, the 4 years I've been with him, he's never hit me. I mean,
Parties on Harder versus Novo. Step forward.
33-year-old Jackie Harder is suing her ex-husband's new girlfriend, 38-year-old Denise Novo, for defamation of character. Jackie alleges that Denise passed out flyers in her neighborhood accusing her of being a child abuser. Denise says the flyers are true.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 244 on the calendar in the matter of Harder versus Novo. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please. Have a seat, ma'am.
Mrs. Harder, the defendant, according to your papers, is the present girlfriend of your former husband,
Correct.
who you allege defamed you
Yes.
in your community by slandering you and by publishing flyers demeaning your character and saying things about your children.
Yes.
Well, is this the ex-husband?
Yes.
Do you not get along with each other?
No.
You don't get along with him and you don't get along with her?
No. I get along with him if she's not involved.
How many children do you have?
2.
How old are they?
9 and 6.
And how long have you been divorced?
6 years.
So you were married for a short period of time.
5 years.
Tell me about this defamation.
I have a copy of the flyer right here. I moved into a new home October of '96, and in February, my neighbors came to me, 3 separate neighbors came to me on one Sunday afternoon and said that prior to me moving in, a strange woman had gone through the neighborhood, knocked on the door, and handed out these flyers.
Can I see them, please? Stop. I've read your answer. Now, according to your answer, you don't deny that you went up to some of the neighbors in the new place where she was moving in and had conversations with them, correct?
Correct.
You didn't discuss these flyers in your answer, but I assume these flyers are flyers that you gave to them. Is that correct?
1. Correct.
So why don't you explain why?
They were meant for a telephone pole.
What?
They were meant for a telephone pole in the neighborhood because we were concerned for the children.
Who was concerned for what children?
I, myself, and the father of the children were very concerned of situations that the children were discussing with both I and the father about some abuse towards them from their mother and the mother's boyfriend.
Step up here.
And we can no longer turn
Step
our
up here.
cheek.
Step up here. You have concerns about your children, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you go to the family court?
I went to the family.
You went to the family court?
No, I didn't go to family court. I called Child Protective Service.
I didn't ask you if you called Child Protective Services. You chewing gum?
Yes, ma'am.
Get rid of it. I said if you are concerned about your children, why didn't you go to the family court and say, I am concerned about my children, and I think that perhaps we should entertain a different kind of custody arrangement for the children. Why didn't you do that?
I did do that. I went to mediation.
Good.
A mediation.
Good. And what happened as a result of the mediation?
What happened in mediation?
Yes.
What happened in mediation?
Try to remember, so they're your children. Did you
I
get
know
your
they're
children?
my children.
Did you get your children?
Yes, I did get my children.
So you got custody of your children?
Right.
So
no,
then
I
what are we
didn't get
doing
custody
here?
Of my,
No.
I didn't get custody.
Just a second.
I didn't get custody of them. I got visitation.
Good. Now, after you had visitation with your children, according to your girlfriend, the two of you became very concerned about the children's welfare.
Right.
So why didn't you go back to court and say, circumstances have changed. I would like to have a hearing with regard to custody of my children. I would like my children to have their own attorney that they can speak to, right? And resolve the matter in an orderly fashion as you did with your visitation request. Why didn't you do that?
Well, the man that I was talking to, the mediator, he said if there was any problems to come back and talk to him. There was a statement that he issued, and it was a court order, that she not degrade me in front of the kids and to leave me alone.
Degrading you in front of the children.
Right.
That's your primary concern.
No, it's not my primary concern, but these children are going, they're not, how do you say it? Excuse me, I'm not well spoken. But my children are going through hell right now.
You think that this makes it better?
Well, I think I've already gone to the Child Protective Services. I went through the school. Nobody
If you
else
went to
would
Child
help me.
Protective Services, that means that Child Protective Services did an investigation. Huh?
Yes, they did.
And did they take any action?
No, they didn't.
And how many times did you go to Child Protective Services?
3 times.
And of the 3 times that you went there, was any action taken, any case filed against their mother?
There's an open case, but nothing was filed against her.
And the children remain in her care?
Yes.
Do you have any children, madam?
Yes, I do.
Where are they?
She's 17 years old.
Wait, that's not what I asked you. I didn't ask you how old she is. I said, where is she?
She's at home waiting for a job interview.
At home where?
In Santa Barbara.
Is that where you live?
Yes, that is.
So she lives with the two of you?
Yes, she does.
She finished school?
No, she hasn't.
Why not?
She's a junior in high school.
I don't understand what you mean. She's waiting for a job interview.
She has independent studies.
Why?
I pulled her out of the school system.
Why?
I don't like the high school near my home.
Mm-hmm. Huh? Is that your only child?
Yes, it is.
And when did you pull her out of school? How old was she?
September of '96.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been living in the same place, sir?
Since... Oh, it's... What?
Don't ask her.
Oh, I'm not good with dates, excuse me.
You're not good with language and you're not good with dates. What are you good at?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did you ever pull your kids out of school, Bird, to put them in independent studies?
No, Judge, not
I
at all.
had 5 kids. I never pulled my kids out of school for independent studies.
And later today,
when I started expressing my concerns, she sent me socks saying that I had cold feet.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 33-year-old Jackie Harder is charging her ex-husband's new girlfriend, Denise Novo, with defamation of character. Jackie says when she moved into a new neighborhood, Denise passed out flyers to the neighbors, falsely accusing her of being a child abuser. Denise says that it's true.
You two must be very smart people in order to teach this child yourself. He doesn't know dates, he doesn't know anything, and you do this. This is outrageous! This is outrageous! You are a mean, vindictive woman who could do this. She's moving into a new place. You didn't get what you want when you call Child Protective Services. They conduct no less than 3 investigations against her. They find absolutely no basis to remove the children, so you decide to make a little trouble, make her life a little bit miserable. And you go around before she moves into the community, and you plaster things up around the community. She says she gave it out to people. Genius over here says it was supposed to be on telephone poles. All right? I want to tell you something. If I were the family court judge, not a mediator, but if I were the family court judge who was deciding visitation with your children, you, sir, would see your children under a supervised visitation arrangement only. And I am a very serious proponent of fathers having as unrestricted quality time, if they are not the custodial parents of children, as is possible, because I always believe that that's in a child's best interest, to have the love and companionship of both biological parents. It's always been my view. I'm a serious proponent of that, but not, sir, when you live with this kind of witch. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. Whatever counterclaim there is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
Parties on Licht versus Water. Step forward, please.
42-year-old Reverend Howard Licht is suing his former fiancée, 39-year-old Stephanie Warder, for not returning the engagement ring after they called off their wedding. Stephanie says she was embarrassed by his change of heart.
Simple case. You are Reverend Licht?
Yes, ma'am.
And Miss Warder, according to these papers, you became engaged to each other. That's correct. You purchased an engagement ring for the defendant. You changed your mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Called off the wedding. Want the ring back.
Yes.
That's pretty simple. How long were you engaged before you changed your mind, sir?
A couple of months, Your Honor.
Why don't you think 4 months? All right, Miss Warden. Water. Is that the way you pronounce it, Water? Why don't you tell me why you think he is not entitled to his ring back?
Well, after he proposed to me and I said yes, I started planning for the wedding. I bought a wedding dress, hired a wedding coordinator, worked on getting the tuxes and the bridal dresses. I had my whole church involved in planning this wedding. And then he calls it off, but doesn't really call it off. He says, well, why don't we just postpone the wedding? It's okay, we can do that. But then he never would talk to me, with no communications whatsoever. Every time I tried to talk to him, he would be abrupt with me, short, had something else to do. And I thought we were trying to work this out.
Did you know why he had called off the wedding or why he wanted to postpone it?
He said that he didn't like the way I talked to waiters and waitresses.
Is that the reason you gave her?
That was among other things, yes. At one point, we had a discussion about her having her hair done, and I was curious. She had told me that she had a speaking relationship with her stylist, and I said, well, what did your stylist think about the hairstyle you wanted? And she told me in no uncertain terms that her stylist had nothing to do with her decision. She was capable of making decisions on her own. It took me aback. I work with a lot of people. I listen to a lot of professional opinions, and while I may not always follow those opinions, when I make my decision, they are informed. I just began to think about what's the marriage going to be like if she makes all the decisions without any input.
I did have input from people, but the final decision is mine when it deals with my hair or something that deals with me, my car, my house, or whatever, because I am the one that has to live with those decisions.
Have you been married before?
No, I have never been married before.
But you have, sir?
Yes.
Never
According
been
to
engaged.
these papers, a couple of times.
Yes, ma'am.
And engaged a few more times.
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
I was going to ask, but as long as you did.
Well, there have been a number of engagements.
Altogether, how many times?
I would say probably 7 or 8 different times.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He would get me upset about this or wanting to talk. And then, of course, it was time to go to bed because he had to get up and preach the next morning.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 39-year-old Stephanie Warder says when her fiancé, 42-year-old Reverend Howard Licht, broke off their engagement, she had already spent hundreds of dollars planning the wedding. So she kept the engagement ring to help make up for the loss.
Miss Warder, how much did you actually spend on planning the wedding? Your dress, things that you could not return.
I spent probably with the dress and the plane tickets to fly down to visit him, around $1,000.
I'm not talking about the plane tickets to fly down to visit him. I'm talking about you paid for your dress.
Right.
Were you able to get the money back?
No.
And how much was the dress?
$640.
And did you give any money to your wedding coordinator?
No, because she was a friend of mine and she decided not to.
That's not a big deal.
I've never been married before. I've never been engaged before either. This was the time that I was going to do it. I was 39 years old when he proposed to me. I didn't think I should have any problem about taking the wedding dress back because this was going to be it.
When you accepted this ring, did you know that he had been married twice before?
Yes, I did.
When you accepted the ring, did you know that he had been engaged 8 times before?
Yes, I did. But I also decided that I should not hold his past against him.
Well, I'm not suggesting that you hold his past against him, but when somebody has an argument with you because they don't like the way you talk to your hairdresser, I would suggest to you that there's a problem.
That was after the engagement, not before.
You mean after you were engaged already?
Right.
You're probably lucky. Where's the ring?
I don't have the ring.
Where is it?
It's at home in a safe place. I'm keeping the ring because he gave it to me. It's very important. It meant a whole lot to me.
What do you plan on doing with it, Miss Warder?
Wearing it on my right hand. It's a nice dinner ring.
Good. How much did you pay for the ring, sir?
$2,200.
You paid $2,200? Let me see the receipt. Now, Miss Warder, I'm not going to send a posse to your house to get the ring. It's up to you. But if,
I'm not going to give this ring back.
Well, then you're going to have to pay for it, madam. Listen to me.
So
let me explain why to you, because I think that that's fair. There's a difference between a broken engagement and breaking up a marriage. This guy clearly has some problems.
That's
If
why I
he
offered-
makes a big megillah over your hairstylist, that's not somebody that I, after waiting 39 years, would want to hang my hopes on for a happy future. So you're probably very lucky that it ended when it did after 4 months. The fact that it was an embarrassment to you, I can understand. But an engagement ring is given as a promise, as sort of a contract in anticipation of getting married.
I did not break that contract.
I understand that. It doesn't make any difference. In my view, it doesn't make any difference because whoever breaks the contract, both parties are usually better off. I mean, are you suggesting to me that you would have wanted to have married this man, gone through with the ceremony, and found out what you know about him now 3 or 4 or 5 weeks after you got married, or 5 months after you got married, or perhaps after you had children together? Come on, be smart. You're getting away cheap. So, in my view, irrespective of whose fault it is, of who's willing to stand up and say...
Why should he get back everything when I am the one who's the loser here?
Just a second. I'm going to see to it that you get back the money for your dress. That's going to be deducted from the cost of the ring. Absolutely. Now, if you're prepared to give him back the ring, I'm prepared to enter a judgment against him for the cost of the dress. Do you understand?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Because I don't think that because he changed his mind, you should find yourself in a position of being out financially. Doesn't that sound fair?
Yeah, the humiliation that goes along with it, too.
Well, but you know, you have to balance the humiliation, Miss Water.
Yeah, my whole church knew.
I know.
His church did not know. Even my mailman knew that I was getting married. This was very important to me.
I understand. Would you have preferred to have married him? And then been wife number 3?
At this moment, no.
There you go. So that's the answer.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Your Honor, will that be a monetary judgment for the balance?
Well, unless I can convince Miss Water that she should give up this ring, because it's going to be a constant reminder of this very bad period of time.
It is not a reminder of bad times for me. It's a reminder of all the good times for me.
Okay.
I am not giving it back.
Very good. I am deducting the $640 for her wedding dress, sir. $1,560 for the plaintiff. Consider yourself lucky, Miss Water. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I don't even believe in him as a minister anymore. He cannot be a minister and act the way that he's been doing. He does not practice what he preaches.
আপনি ছেলে খুব সহজে করতে পারেন কিভাবে করবেন কি কিরকম ছেলে ভিডিওতে শেয়ার করবো অবশ্যই ভিডিওটা করে দিতে বলবেন না